Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
What do you guys want to talk about?
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
Those are my limits. I'll live here. I will not say y'all. I will not use ranch dressing. Those are two concessions I will not make.
How about a cowboy hat?
Rich Crage.
Never ended. Nothing happening. Nothing. 20 minutes.
You get the slow clap, sir.
20 minutes of the...
Get him. Get him,
through
Crage.
the barricade. And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
I'm good. What a week, huh? A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, man. Yeah, a lot. We have been... The amount of audio that you and I have done this week is absurd. Who works harder than us? Who works harder than you and I? Let's pat ourselves on the back here as we start the show. I mean, my God, the amount of audio this week between what we're going to do here on the Flagship, what we've done on flagshippatreon.com, covering the G1, 2 Flagship Pluses, I think, G1 stuff, Thursday Dynamite Review, Brett versus Owen. I mean, my God, there's been a lot of stuff. And here we go for another, 3 to 4 hours possibly here on the Flagship. So yeah, what a week. Lot to cover in the world of wrestling. So yeah, we've been covering it like nobody else does. Yeah, definitely Dakota Jones puts it perfectly in the chat room. Hardest working guys in pro wrestling media. So
I think everything you named is on the $5 tier too, not even the 10.
I think that's right. Yeah, I don't think we did any $10 tier stuff yet this week. So except for this Flagship Live, if you're listening to
right
this
now,
live right now,
yeah, right this second,
right now, the $10 tier.
But yeah, so yeah, for sure. There's a lot going on. So
Somebody did ask, are you guys going to do, Instant Reaction Live for Blood and Guts yesterday? Because we did that a couple years ago, I guess we did. Or the last 2 years, I think we did Blood and Guts. That thought never even crossed my mind, and not necessarily because I thought that the build wasn't really worth it or whatever, even though I kind of did. But more that I was just like, I don't know that we could fit that in. Like, we're doing so much goddamn audio that, we probably could have done that, but I'm kind of glad we didn't because it led to a very good Thursday Dynamite review by you. Very poignant, very necessary Thursday Dynamite review by you, talking about what's going on in AEW right now. So I thought, Thursday Dynamite review was on point, and so no Blood and Guts Instant Reaction Live this time, but we'll get back on the Instant Reaction Live game. Some people asked about Death Before Dishonor for tomorrow. I don't know that I'm watching the show live, to be honest. I don't know what you're doing.
Well, if you're in, I'm in. I don't give a shit. Let's fucking go.
All right. You know what? I'll talk to the wife. I'll talk to the wife and see what's happening. Let's see what's happening. I'll talk to the wife. But now because I'm putting the blame on her. You like how I'm doing that? I'll talk to the wife. Even if I don't want to do it, I'll just say that she said I couldn't do it. And it's perfect. It's a perfect crime.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's always unprofessionally finish eating here.
Yeah, this is really ridiculous. I can't imagine. Yeah. Well, you've been busy today. So I'll let you. So what are you eating? My
I haven't eaten all day.
Yeah, I guess I'll allow it. My biggest pet peeve ever is people eating on audio. But what are you eating? It's fine. What are you eating?
I'm trying not to do it in the mic. It's a Little Debbie Nutter Butter.
Okay. Why would you choose that of all things to eat before a podcast? Those things stick to the top of your mouth that's going to be stuck to the top of your mouth for 20 minutes now. That thing is not going anywhere. You could chug as many Coke Z's as you want.
Gourmet meal? What do you want me to do?
Well, of all what other Little Debbie snacks were available, or is that the only one?
There's other stuff down there. I like that. It tastes good.
It does taste good. That is an elite Little Debbie.
It's an elite snack cake because it tastes like a candy bar.
Yeah,
it's so good. Well, if this stupid Yuki Ueno Mao match wasn't fucking 3 hours long.
It was a little long.
I would have had time to make a sandwich.
It was a little long.
For God's sake.
Oh God, I'm now.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Wasn't a fan either.
Yeah.
But,
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it. A little DDT. Yeah, we're doing DDT this week, guys. For God's sakes, we're doing DDT. But I am now looking at the Little Debbie, the lineup of Little Debbie, and yeah, the Nutter Butters are elite. I'm partial to the oat milk cream pies myself.
Oh, they're fantastic. Yeah.
Those are so dangerous that I now just do not allow myself. Because I used to buy those and just box open, take the first one out, unwrap it, just eat the little oatmeal. It would never end. It would have to be literally ripped from my hands because I was just like, I'm taking this whole box down right now. At least 3, at minimum 3. And at that point, I'm like, there's only like 6 more. I might as well just eat them all at this point. It'd be stupid to leave this many in the box. I might as well just have them all. And I would just house them all. It's fucking horrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely go down easy.
The Nutter Butter, I don't know if you can eat that many of those, which is good. That's probably a good thing with the Nutter Butter.
Well, I'm not real big on sugar.
Yeah, you're not a sweets guy. That's why I'm kind of surprised you're housing.
I'm a real pansy. Like I'll every once in a blue moon I'll get like a Milky Way at the gas station or whatever, right? But here's the thing, like I'll eat like half of it.
Oh,
I'll be
you're
like,
one of those guys. Oh,
yeah. I'll rub my tummy and be like, I'll save the rest for later. It's too much for me. It's like
your
I
candy
don't know.
bar
It's like
save the rest for later guy. I can't believe it. Yeah,
I'm a total pansy. It's too much sugar. It's just I feel like it fills me up instantly. Anything sugary. So now if you give me a bag of chips, I'll eat the whole fucking bag of chips in one sitting if you allow me to.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah. Like I'm like you. You got to pry the bag of chips. Full size fucking bag out of my hands, or I'll sit there watching a game and I will eat the entire bag. I have to stop myself from.
And
you do
the justification like I do, where you're like, it's like only like quarter of the bag left. I might as well just eat it all. I don't want to put it back in the pantry. Quarter full. That'd be ridiculous. So I just eat the whole thing.
Well, what I do is I say to myself, I'm going to open this bag of chips. I'm only going to eat a few, and I'm going to have some willpower, and then I turn around and I'm down to a quarter of a bag left, and it's like, fuck. But I won't eat it because I feel like a slob if I finish it. So I never actually finish the whole bag in one sitting, so I will put it back with a reasonable amount left. But I could eat the whole fucking thing.
What's the Lanza chip of choice? What are you reaching for normally?
So I like the Utz Red Hot. I don't know if you have that brand.
I don't have Utz. Yeah, I don't know if we have Utz in. Actually, we just started getting Utz a little bit. There's one grocery store by us that I think is owned by Kroger that now carries Utz. Let's see, Utz Red Hots. Okay, I've never had these, but I look like I would enjoy these for sure.
Yeah, they're a little bit better than like the Lay's Red Hots. I'll eat those too, but if they've got the Utz, which for some reason we have in Texas, it's like a Pennsylvania brand.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought it's like a Dutch Pennsylvania brand, but
they are. We had them in New Jersey. But I was surprised they had them in Texas. Kroger carries them, so
okay. So the place that I have is it's not a Kroger, but it's owned by Kroger, and now they have
that makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense then. I guess Kroger being what are they? Ohio based?
I think
right
so.
Next to Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
so I guess that's why they would carry that shit.
There's a little big time little voices of supermarkets. A lot going on in the supermarket world right now. Kroger and Albertsons trying to merge, and the FTC is saying, I don't know if they're saying, hold on a minute, you can't do that. So that's got quite the monopoly there of grocery stores. So that's an ongoing process right now. Maybe it's not the FTC. I forget if it's the FTC or who the fuck's.
Wouldn't be the FTC.
It's not the Federal Trade
would it be the
Commission,
No, wait, would it be the FTC?
I don't know. It might be.
Every Albertsons here closed about 10 years ago. So we have it's Kroger and it's HEB, which is a Texas chain.
Yeah, they used to have great San Antonio Spurs commercials. Have you ever seen? I know you've probably seen them because they probably aired on your TV.
I've seen every fucking HEB commercial.
There's a master cut.
But
I recommend everybody to go check these out. Look up HEB San Antonio Spurs on YouTube, and you'll see this master cut of these fantastic, like forcing Manu Ginobili to promote like this supermarket that he's probably never been to, and he's like, yeah, the best pick is HEB while he's wearing like a cowboy hat or whatever. It's fantastic. It's just great stuff.
Well, their whole gimmick is they get everything from Texas farmers and Texas fucking growers and all this shit. Like, I give a fuck. But they just keep building HEBs and Kroger's. Like, if Kroger builds a new one, HEB builds one across the street. And they're just all. I don't know how there's enough people to support all these fucking supermarkets, all these HEBs and Kroger's.
Yeah, I definitely know that I come from a place of privilege because we have like too many supermarkets to the point where it's annoying. It's like annoying to me that when a new one gets built, I'm like, come on, who needs this? I'm like, some places are dying for supermarkets. There's food deserts out there where people are dying to find affordable, decent food that's not Dollar Tree or whatever. And I'm annoyed that now the traffic's going to be more because there's a new supermarket across from our other new supermarket. I'm like, why? Who needs all these supermarkets? Stop, please. We have like 9 within 5 miles of me. It's ridiculous.
It's funny you say that because 40 minutes away where my wife is from originally, before I got her out of the fucking sticks, the only supermarket chain that'll go out to those little fucking shitbox dusty Texas towns is called Brookshire Brothers. Okay, they're the only one that'll do business in these little towns, and every town has one. They have a Brookshire Brothers and a Walmart. That's basically, if you're lucky, you have the Walmart. Maybe you have to go 2 towns over to the Walmart. But the Brookshire Brothers, because they know they're the only game in town, everything is like 30% more expensive than it should be. And not only that, all the people in these little towns like make 30% less than everybody else.
What a racket. Like, these fuckers, yeah.
Yeah, so like my in-laws and everything, they come all the way to College Station and they use up the half a tank of gas because it ends up working out better, and they just do their grocery shopping here instead of going to Brookshire Brothers and getting, bent over a fucking barrel, paying the exorbitant rates. And plus it's like a little like dusty fucking chain. They don't have variety or nothing either. It's just, and everything's marked up. So yeah, I see that out here a lot where, it's kind of a hike to get to a grocery store, and then you get there and, you can't fucking afford anything. But what the fuck is it? What is this? Are we what show? What's that?
Supermarket Sweep?
Show?
Supermarket Sweep?
No, where was I going? What's the dirtbag left show that all the fucking dirty leftists listen to? Is that what we are now? What is
Chapo Trap House? Is that the one
you're
thinking
of? Chapo Trap House? What is this fucking
Well, then the nurse would actually listen, as opposed to the amount of time she listens to the Voice of Wrestling adjacent podcasts, which are 0. So that's that'd be nice for mine. Yeah, I know we went and do food deserts and supermarkets and stuff, but let's get back into wrestling. Well, I was actually going to before I even get back into wrestling. One of my
are those guys still making like millions on Patreon?
Don't even look. Yeah, one time I looked and it was so disheartening because I was like, we're doing pretty good. We're moving up the ladder. And then I looked at what they were making and I was like, oh my God, we're not making
so anything. It hasn't worn off.
No, not at all. I think they bring in 6 figures a month, I think.
Oh, well, no, I know that, but
easy 6 figures. Yeah.
Yeah. They were making that, a long time ago. Let me see who's tops these days. I think it's Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, right? Didn't they've been number 1 for a while now. Let me see where Chapo.
I don't even know what that is.
Let's see. Chapo Trap House is now 5th.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which poor them, right? But I'm just saying,
right, they're only making $178,000 a month, so.
Yeah. But I knew that they had. I knew they weren't in the top spot for a while, but Shane Gillis, Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. Shane, you know who Shane Gillis is.
Okay.
Like that's the podcast he had before he was famous.
Got it.
He stuck with that other fucking. That's loyalty.
That is.
Like he blew up to become the biggest comic in the world, and their little dopey podcast, which nobody was listening to, has 97,000 paid members on Patreon. So you know what? Good for Matt.
Yeah, good to be a Matt. Good to be a Matt. To be
good to be Matt.
Yeah.
So Chapo Trap House is sitting at a cool $172,000 a month, Rich.
Yeah. And they post a lot less than us too, which that seems like bullshit. We post more and we make a lot less. That seems not fair.
Well, there's more money in the dirtbag left than in non-WWE wrestling.
Who knew? Who knew? But Yeah, let's get. Well, speaking of WWE, good time to get into it. In a photo that was making the rounds, Paul Levesque and Nick Khan were with Sadiq Khan, I believe is how you pronounce it. Sadiq. I don't know exactly. See, I think it's Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, and his very, very tiny belt. Have you seen this photo?
What was with the little tiny
Why
belt?
is the belt so small? I thought it was a photo. Because I saw it on our Discord at first, and I thought someone on our Discord was being funny by making it a small belt. I didn't get the joke, but maybe there's something with this Sadiq Khan guy in London, and I was like, okay, the small belt. That's kind of funny. Good work, by the way. And then I saw the photo sent in a press release, and I was like, why does this man have the smallest belt? What is that thing? How do you buy that thing? What is that? Is that a belt buckle? Is that a watch? It's the smallest, most ridiculous belt. I'm going to put it in our chat room right now for people that have not seen it. It is a shockingly small little title belt.
Now listen, now that is a legitimately tiny belt. That not like the first AEW women's title that I didn't even know people were complaining about was not a tiny belt. This is a tiny belt.
This is a very tiny belt. This reminds me. This is smaller than any of the ladies championships of the 80s, because they would always have like, the whatever company would have their ladies championship, and it was always this like little tiny belt or whatever, because they're little ladies. It's the 1980s.
Smaller frames.
Right. Right. You have to, that's how things were in the 80s. It was like, well, we can't give these women a full size belt. They're little tiny women. So
it should be that way now. They have smaller frames.
They do.
Why would you put a giant fucking belt on Mercedes Monet? It would look preposterous. It's got to match the size of the competitor.
They're also holding
small frames.
They're also holding his arms up like like it looks like, if you didn't know who this was, it looks like some like a Make-A-Wish or something. And you're like, why is this old guy getting a Make-A-Wish?
It's a hilarious picture.
It's so ridiculous. Paul is doing the point. Of course, Paul's doing the point. Nick just wants to get out of there. He just wants to sign the deal and get out of there.
Yeah.
They're holding his hand. They're holding his wrists.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
15 seconds after the picture, Nick Khan turns to the other Khan and says, listen, pal, are we going to talk turkey or I got to get back on my plane?
Right.
He don't have any time for this bullshit. Either sign the deal or fucking kick rocks, pal. Okay? Or, dive into Thames, because I don't have time for this shit.
Oh my God. All right, I gotta scroll away. I gotta scroll away from the photo. But what the reason for the photo is, there is a discussion right now about having the possibility of London hosting a WrestleMania. So
you knew this was coming
as
soon as they ran Wembley last year and set the all-time record for tickets sold. And WWE knows that's the legitimate all-time record. Okay, they know that. They're crazy sycophant fans who are out of their fucking minds might not want to accept it, but WWE knows that AEW broke the record for tickets sold last year. And as soon, and even before that happened, as soon as Tony Khan made it known that he was running Wembley, you knew that the wheels were going to be in motion. We talked about this last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we said, if they bring WrestleMania out there, that could potentially beat the record that AEW set last year. And that's going to be their goal, to beat what Tony Khan did last year. And for a WrestleMania, if the company stays at the same, level of, if they're as hot as they are now, by the time they run this show, whenever it's going to be, because it won't be for a few years. I mean, they've got next year's already booked, so it would have to be at minimum 2026, right?
I think so. Let me double check that, because I know they got a couple of them booked. Yeah, they've been going ahead. I mean, they have the one SummerSlam booked like 2 years in advance or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's either 26 or 27. Who knows?
You're looking at 26. You're looking at 26 the earliest, because 2025 obviously is going to be in Las Vegas. So you're looking at 26. Well, no, sorry, 27, because 26 is in Indianapolis.
Right. So 27 is the soonest they can do it.
Well,
who knows it though?
I'm sorry, not to interrupt. I forget that they said a future WrestleMania will be in Indianapolis. They did not clarify whether it be. So maybe they were kind of leaving that open-ended and telling them, hey, we'll get to you guys eventually. But maybe so they could do it in 26. They might not be as hot by the time. Yeah, but
the point here is they might not be as hot when they get there. Is the point? And so can they put 100,000? I mean, that's what they're going to claim when they run it. But yeah, I mean, they have a legitimate shot of beating last year's All In, and they want to do that. I mean, that's That's how you knew they were going to eventually attempt it. Now, can they get into Wembley? Now, if you're the city of London, is WWE going to want to be paid by the city of London the way that they want to be paid by all these cities for all their shows now? And are the people of London going to turn around and say, now, wait a minute, we got this other wrestling company here that we don't have to pay, right? That brings in the same amount of tourism or whatever the fuck. Why should we pay these assholes to come here? Or, I don't know the politics over there, or if that would stand in the way, or would WWE say, just to be that spiteful and vindictive and to, make a wrestling war move, would they waive the fee and just want to run it just to beat AEW?
I thought about that. And I see why they would. Like, the old WWE would absolutely do that. The old WWE would absolutely say, screw it. That's fine. We don't care. Well, it might be hard to justify that with the new company the way it is, especially with the amount of money that they're getting. Now, you can sort of leverage that with a bunch of weird tax breaks and stuff and say, okay, look, you don't have to pay us, but, we'll do this, and this. There's ways to get around it. But, yeah, that would be what it would tell us is we would have to completely end any dumb and we have never done that on the show. We've made it very clear that they very much care about AEW. A lot of people will argue, oh, why would they care about AEW? They don't care. They do.
Of course they do.
They very, very, very much care.
You're ignorant to them. You're ignorant to history, and you're ignorant to what's actually happening right this second. If you think they don't care,
if they waive a fee, then that argument's done. If they waive that fee, then it's like I'm not ever entertaining the idea that they don't care, because they would care tremendously.
Their sycophants will still make that argument.
Well, they're dumb. Yeah.
Well, we know that they're dumb.
Yeah, okay,
they have the dumbest fan base in wrestling. We know that they're dumb.
Statistically,
but I'm saying. Yeah, statistically dumb and poor. I mean, but seriously, they'll still make that argument. Nothing's going to stop them from making that argument.
Right.
Because WWE operates in a way where they don't want you to know that they care about AEW. It's all done in the shadows. And I know it all sounds conspiracy-like, but it's happening. It's happening. Go listen to the show I did with Bix a couple weeks ago on Between the Sheets, or just, listen to people that know what they're talking about. I mean, this is the way they operate. So, and, we said it last year. We said, oh, they're going to eventually come to London and try to run that building and try to beat the Red, and they're going to do it. And the best way to do it, the only way to guarantee it that they have a legitimate shot is to do it with WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Didn't we even say that at the time?
Absolutely. Well, no, we said it more because if you remember that John Cena, they did Money in the Bank in London last year. The 2023 Money in the Bank was in London. And John Cena came out there and said, it'd be great if London hosted WrestleMania or whatever. And that was the exact time we said, that's very clearly what the long-term goal is going to be, is to get London or WrestleMania to go to Wembley to beat that record. Because, they're hurt about it, and they want to be the only game in town. They want to have that legitimate record, and that was a building that they, or that it's a town, I suppose, that they thought they kind of had a stronghold on, and AEW came in there and did a record-setting business and a record-setting gate and a record-setting, show. So, yeah, of course they were going to get hard feelings about that, but, yeah, we said WrestleMania is the absolute one to go to. Like, you can do a Royal Rumble there and probably contend for it, or you can do a SummerSlam there and maybe contend for it. If you just want to say, screw it, we're going to do it and we're going to beat them, you do WrestleMania. And you throw it out as the idea of, oh, it's the first WrestleMania outside of the United States and yada, yada, yada. But we know deep down it's all that plus we're going to beat them at the only thing and that's probably the highest. I mean, I don't foresee AEW getting higher than what they did in Wembley last year anytime soon. No. I mean, they might do it at some point, but not anytime soon. So that would be kind of the knockout blow to kind of say, all right, yeah, that's the last thing that you guys have over us, and now we took it from you too.
Yeah, and that we should note that there's, even if this happens, and I think it's going to happen, otherwise they wouldn't have sent out that picture and and put it out there if the meeting hadn't gone well. There's no guarantee it's Wembley. I'm sure they want it to be Wembley, but and this is a story that broke about an hour before we started the show, so keep that in mind. But there's no guarantee that it's Wembley. It might be another building somewhere in the vicinity if they can't get into Wembley. But I would imagine they very, very badly want it to be Wembley. Why wouldn't they? So just have to see what happens from here. I'm sure it's a story that we'll be talking about more and following along with. And again, though, I think with the fact that they put that picture out and let it be known that this meeting, that means it went well.
A very coordinated press release as well, which WWE does a fantastic job of doing. And so you had a lot of eyeball emojis and hints from news reporters and all this sort of stuff, and then it all came out all at once. As Fightful had their post, Daily News had their post, a bunch of other places had their post. That if you read it, it's like, or the Daily Star, I guess it was, not Daily News, but it was all essentially the breaking news was a meeting happened. People talked is the breaking news, but to your point and also to my point, the reason that they're doing that is because they probably think that everything went well, and it's just now crossing some T's and dotting some I's, and it's going to get locked down. They don't do that. If it was just a meeting and they left the meeting cold, they're not launching the full PR, up the offensive that they did. That obviously must have gone well, and yeah, we'll see. It felt like it was only a matter of time that was going to happen. So I'm not super surprised.
It was going to happen at some point. So here we are.
Quickly, Vince McMahon files a motion to lift court-ordered stay of lawsuit filed by Janel Grant. A statement from McMahon's lawyer was sent to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, and it said, quote, "Today's motion is in response to Miss Grant's flagrant violation of the federal stay order after telling
Hold on, sir. Hold on.
Yeah.
I thought Brandon Thurston just likes to harass Paul Levesque at press conferences and doesn't do real work.
He doesn't do real work. Yeah, he only has both lawyers in this major wrestling case contacting him constantly. But yes, you're right. Okay. He should do real work.
Anyway,
and not
you may
just
continue.
Bother Paul Levesque. Yeah. After telling the federal court that she would pause her lawsuit, Ms. Grant immediately violated the stay order, seeking one-sided discovery for her own benefit. Her lawyer told the media that the information sought in the new Connecticut state action is to, quote, assist in our claims in the federal action. We're asking the federal court ensure that plaintiff abides by the court's orders, and if she does not, that civil contempt and financial sanctions may result. So just kind of another thing in the case. I don't know that there's anything really to glean from that. Essentially just,
well, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
The McMahon side is saying that attempting to get these medical records is breaking the stay order.
Yeah.
And Ann Callis, Grant's lawyer, gave the same statement she gave Thurston last time, saying, quote, "We did not violate a federal stay by filing a state action against a non-defendant," end quote. So the argument here is whether filing a state action against someone who's not a defendant is a violation of the stay. Obviously, the McMahon side says that it is, and the Grant side says that it is not. So the McMahon side is asking the court for a limited lifting of the stay to permit filing an adjudication of the motion to enforce the court's stay. So they want to lift the stay to enforce the stay is what they want to do now.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is how stupid this stuff gets. But it's pretty simple to me what's going on here. And then, someone's going to have to decide whether or not going after those medical records does in fact violate the stay. So this is kind of just was it last week that this initially broke? This is just
last week or 2 weeks. I forget.
I
forget last week or 2 weeks ago, but yeah, it's just another
follow up to what happened last week. So now we see what the courts decide in terms of who's right and wrong here. So that's that.
And real quick as well, WBD NBA. So I did a Flagship Plus earlier today, just talking a bit about what's going on with Warner Brothers Discovery and the NBA and their ongoing negotiations to kind of catch people up a little bit, because I think it's important to talk about on the Flagship too, because we have a little bit new juice from Tony Khan about that as well. So essentially, to kind of catch everybody up, the NBA has said that they are not accepting Warner Brothers Discovery's matched offer. So obviously the NBA went into an agreement. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks. NBA went in agreement with Disney, ABC, ESPN, NBC, and Amazon Prime Video. So Disney being the ABC and ESPN entities, NBC and Amazon Prime Video. Well, WBD said, well, we paid for the ability to match an offer, so we're going to match the Amazon Prime Video offer. And so they did. And the NBA said, we're not accepting this. This is not an actual match. They're I don't know if they've actually said what the hang up is, if it's not having the streaming component as much as they want, or the whatever it may be. The NBA essentially said, this doesn't match. we're not going to accept it. We're moving on. And then basically last night launched all their PR and all the press releases and all the tweets and everything that went out to basically say, yeah, we're moving forward, 11-year deal, a bunch of $1 billion with Disney, NBC, Amazon Prime Video. WBD comes back and says the NBA does not understand our contractual power, so we're still kind of at an impasse. It's over, but it's not over because WBD is still going to fight this thing.
It's going to court, and WBD knew it was going to court.
Yes.
Or they're looking for some kind of settlement to prevent it from going to court. And I guess without anybody really knowing the meat and potatoes of the contract, it's hard to really break it down, because what is the NBA basing this on that they aren't equipped to match the offer? If you know, now there was apparently, I saw something about how Amazon was going to put $6 billion in escrow, and we all know WBD is cash poor, but they had gotten that. But here's the thing: none of that matters with business at this level, because they went and got the loan, and they have the money too, so they even matched that component of it. But it has to be something with the streaming element. It has to be. That has to be the hang up. I guess it doesn't have to be, but without knowing the details of the contract and what the NBA is basing that on, there's no way of knowing. What we know is it's very clear the NBA doesn't want to do business with WBD anymore. I don't know why. I don't know why you wouldn't want your games on TNT. I don't know why you wouldn't want Inside the NBA to exist in preference to having everything behind a streaming paywall. It doesn't make sense to me. You're going to have less people watching the games on Amazon Prime than you're going to have watching on TNT.
Well, and WBD also matched as well by saying, look, we'll put all the games on Max as well. We'll have it on TV and on Max.
Right.
To kind of say,
streaming component.
If you want the streaming component, we have Max, and we are more than willing to put the games on both. And they still didn't want that. So I think that's just a fear of getting lost in the, like, we need to be, we have to have one component that's just streaming. We have to have a just streaming component. We have to be on, Amazon's got this giant user base and all this sort of stuff. And I talked a little bit about it on the Plus, the Flagship Plus as well, is that one of the big boondoggles right now about all these streaming numbers is, particularly with Amazon Prime Video, where you can tout, oh, we have X amount of subscribers. How many people that are subscribed to Amazon Prime pop onto Prime Video every single day? It's probably
that one in particular, because you get it with your Amazon subscription.
Right.
So there's shopping
millions,
site,
millions and millions of people that have Amazon Prime and have probably never opened that app or opened that app once or twice ever.
Just in my house, we have my wife and I both have an Amazon Prime subscription. For some reason, we both have one and spend the $15 a month, which is, we probably shouldn't do that. And we only log in under one, so you see right there, it's like, just like you're saying, there's so many people who have Amazon Prime just for shopping, so they don't have to pay for shipping.
Right.
That never log into the
never, and don't even know that they have it, because I know that from my household is the nurse is constantly ordering things on Amazon, not on voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon though. She should be definitely going to voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon, and you should too, voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon. But she's always ordering shit from Amazon. Every day I come home from work, there's some fucking package on her doorstep, and I'm like, what the hell's this thing? Okay, whatever. And the other day there was something she wanted to watch that was on Prime Video, and she said, "Do we have Prime Video?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Yeah, of course we do." She's like, "Oh, do we?
Yeah.
What's the login?" And I was like, "Your Prime
don't
account,
understand. Yeah.
your account.
Exactly.
I use your account.
People don't know
So it's like your account." And she goes, "Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know they were the same thing." And I was like, "Yeah." And then I'm thinking, man, how many other people are going through life
Probably
millions. And you look at the numbers and the percentages of people that are actually watching these streaming services. And that's the big boondoggle about this thing right now. And I don't know how it's ever going to turn around. I don't know if it ever will turn around, is that you go and look. And I know there was just recently a report done a couple of weeks ago looking at the percentages of people and the millions of people watching these streaming services. Nobody is watching any of these things. Relatively so. You know what I mean? Apple Plus.
Yeah.
Almost off the chart. It was almost, it was like shockingly, like people were like, well, you missed Amazon or Apple Plus. And the guy's like, no, it's there. Trust me, right there, that like 1% little sliver there is people that watch Apple Plus. And this week, Apple Plus basically said and threw in the towel and said, yeah, we're going to stop spending money on these giant shows. We're doing these giant shows, spending a shit ton of money. No one's watching this shit. We're done.
Return.
We're
not
out
drawing viewers. Yep.
WBD wants to get rid of the streaming component from their business. They essentially want to split their business off into, all right, you guys go do whatever bullshit you're doing that's losing money. You go do that on that side. We're going to do this on this side. And we're going to keep all the businesses that make money can go over here, and all the businesses that don't make money go over here.
Yeah, I think it's actually the other way around. I think they're putting all the debt on the TV side with this plan, and they're committed to building the streaming side.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because these companies are just convinced that they have to go all in on streaming right now. And then what happens is you see with Apple, where it's like it didn't work. Apple hired all these huge A-list celebrities to headline these shows, and nobody fucking subscribes to it. And because they can't, outside of like Ted Lasso, Severance to some degree, they haven't come up with a massive hit that has made a bunch of people turn to it and subscribe to it. So they've wasted all of this money on all of these A-list stars that they have to pay enormous sums of money to be the leads on these shows that have, in a lot of cases, mediocre scripts and just aren't great shows. And it's a problem. And what they do is they use sports to get people to subscribe. I would not subscribe to Apple TV Plus if they didn't get Friday Night Baseball last year or the year before, whatever year that was. And I would still not have a subscription to that, but I do because I don't want to miss the 2 fucking Reds games that might be on it because I'm a psychopath. So I subscribe, and the only time I watch Friday Night Baseball is when the Reds are on. There is no baseball fan in America who says to themselves, "Oh, it's Friday. I can't wait to get off work and tune into some
slap
Apple
their hand
TV
together
Plus Friday Night Baseball."
Right.
Nobody.
Oh, the Marlins and the Rockies. All right, here we go.
Can't wait.
Right.
The only time you ever watch it is when your team is playing, right? And especially baseball, like to the extreme with baseball, like this NBA Amazon package. Look, when the NBA is on TNT and it's whatever night that it's on, fucking.
Usually Thursdays. Usually Thursdays.
Yeah. I put it on as background noise when I'm fucking around on my phone. There's an NBA game on. I'll throw it on, right? Because I'm a sports fan. I will never do that when it goes to Prime. I'm not logging into fucking Amazon Prime. I got to go get the other fucking remote. I'm not doing it. I'm going to just put on ESPN as my background noise. Whatever the fuck is on ESPN. So the only time I'm ever going to put that on is because they have the conference finals. I'll put it on when they have the conference finals. That's when you'll see me try to figure out what the fuck my login is and go to Amazon Prime to watch the NBA when they have the conference final. I'm not putting it on to watch the Suns play the Warriors. I'm not doing it because I have a vested interest in that. But that's what these streamers do. They know if they overpay for the sports and they know they're going to lose money, okay, it at least gets people like me in the door. And now I'm paying Apple TV Plus, whatever the fuck. I don't even know what it costs, but I'm paying them every month now so I can watch the 2 Reds games per year that they have on. And I'm too lazy to cancel it after baseball season, so I just keep it. And that's what they count on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that hustle isn't necessarily working either. Unless it's the NFL, they're not getting enough people because people will do whatever the fuck it takes. To
absolutely.
Watch the NFL.
Yeah. What we're going to find out over the rest of this year and 2025 is how the capacity of sports fans to jump through hoops to watch games on whatever fucking to need this, spreadsheet to know what my game is on and where it's on and what streaming service or whatever. They are all banking on, hey, NFL fans are willing to go to Peacock and then this and then that or whatever. But that's NFL fans. That's a completely different dynamic than baseball fans, like you said. No one's on a Friday night unless their team is playing, popping up Apple TV and going like that. And we're going to find out how many WWE fans are going to want, or how many casual wrestling fans are going to log into Netflix every single Monday to watch Raw. How many NBA fans are going to fire up Amazon Prime Video to watch, a Western Conference basketball game or whatever. Random ass, the Rockets versus the Kings or whatever on a Thursday night or whatever. Yeah. It's so that is going to be the interesting thing, is that all these sports are banking on. NASCAR is banking on people jumping through hoops and stuff. Like, I know my dad's not going to watch the streaming NASCAR races. He watches every NASCAR race for the last 50 years of his life or whatever. I know for a fact he's just going to go, whatever. I'm fine. I'll just watch something else that day.
He's going to say, I'll watch next week's that's on TV.
Right.
And he'll blow that one off. So it's, look, I think since they're getting the conference finals, I think that'll be the moment where a lot of people figure out that their Amazon Prime subscription gets them the streaming service. I think a lot of people are going to realize that when they think they have to go pay for this thing to watch the conference finals, and they realize they're already paying for it. Because there's going to be a lot of people like your wife that are in that situation who have no fucking clue. You know what? that was me. Because like 5 years ago, my wife had to tell me that came with our fucking subscription. I didn't know either. Because why would I ever watch Amazon Prime for anything?
Right. Yeah. There's nothing ever.
I didn't know. She's just like fucking around with the Fire Stick. She's like, oh, we can and then she explained to me, oh, we should just download this because we get it for free. We never fucking watch it. I don't think we've ever watched it. Yeah, so anyway, we'll see what happens. I think they knew this would end up in court, and now both sides are just putting out these press releases or whatnot. So how does that relate to the AEW deal? I mean, we don't know. So I guess the second component of that was the news that I guess you want to go through that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think obviously the big part of it is that as long as WBD hasn't come to a conclusion with the NBA thing, that it seems unlikely that they'll come to a conclusion with the AEW thing. It's like, yeah, once we figure out what our budget is and how much money we have to allocate and our certain time slots and stuff, okay, now we can start working with you guys and hammering out this deal. But it does feel like until the NBA thing is done that they're probably not going to do the AEW thing. So today they had a Death Before Dishonor media call, and Tony Khan was asked about the potential TV deal. And he said, quote, on the ROH, he says, right now we're exclusively talking to Warner Brothers Discovery. So right there, exclusively talking to Warner Brothers Discovery. We kind of knew that, but there it is explicitly in Tony Khan's words. Right now, we're exclusively talking to Warner Brothers Discovery. They are still in an exclusive negotiating period where they cannot talk to other potential partners.
Yeah. And then he went on to say that, showing the confidence he's been showing for months in terms of a deal getting done. We now know he's going to the Olympics next week to talk to Zaslav in person. And the other big thing was he claims that some respected wrestling media member informs him that WWE PR is trying to spread around the rumor that the deal is done and it's for the same amount of money as the previous deal. Now, no one has reported that. So if WWE PR is trying to spread that story, no one's biting. Which is funny because you would think they'd be able to get their usual clown media to report something like that. But maybe their PR understands that this story is a little different than something like Fast Nationals, and that maybe they understand that they need a more credible outlet to buy this and then attempt to sell it. I don't know, but that was a bizarre part of this that Tony wasn't even going to mention. And they were moving on to the next question, and he butted in to then add that on. So he was thinking, should I say this?
That's that classic Tony thing. He's done that a couple times where like there was that one. What was that one? He went up to the stage and he wanted so badly for someone to ask him the question. Oh, it was about the Swerve thing. Wasn't it about them tampering with Swerve or whatever?
Tampering and everything.
Yeah, and nobody asked. And he just said, all right, I'm not going to fucking take it. I just kind of jumped in the middle of someone's question and just said, you know what? They've been trying to get my guys and I'm not going to fucking take it anymore. That sort of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, he was definitely like, you could tell in the media call, he was waiting for the right time and just said, you know what? I'm just going to do it now. So here it is.
I don't even know if it was that. I think it was, he was thinking, do I put this out there because it's gonna become the headline?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna become the lead, or do I continue to keep it to myself? And he didn't put it out there, but then before Woodcock had a chance to kick it to the next question, he changed his mind and said, "You know what? Fuck it, I'm putting it out there." And then he cut off Woodcock and he goes, "Jim, before you get to that next email question, Jim," and then he went off and said it, and at that point he knows that's gonna be the lead. And it's going to take up all the oxygen and be a big story for 2 or 3 days or whatever. Now, do I believe that story? I absolutely believe it. That's WWE's playbook, of course. Because, first of all, if Tony's calling it a credible wrestling media source who wouldn't lie, I believe him. Okay, it's obviously one of the credible outlets and credible reporters. And that someone like that's not going to make that up. And we know those are the games that WWE plays. So I'm sure that they're trying that. And I'm sure that they're trying to get somebody to report that because similar to the Fast Nationals, if you get the first story out there, that's the story people are going to believe, right? Not media savvy people, not media literate people, but, the dummies. Their fan base, basically. They're going to believe that. But now Tony getting out ahead of it, right? kind of pours a little cold water on it if someone does choose to run with it. So it's interesting the games that are played. What's more interesting is why, how there's so many people who genuinely don't believe that WWE is capable of playing those games. And of course they are. They've played them for their entire existence. So, and TKO and Nick Khan's team, they know how to play dirty, and they know the strings to pull. And, as I talked about with Bix, they might even be savvier and better than ever at this type of strategic playing of the media.
Yeah, they're great at it.
Because they have real professionals doing it now, as opposed to carny wrestling people. They have real professional PR teams and PR professionals with deep connections in media doing this now and pulling the strings. They're better at it than they've ever been before. So,
and they have a much better relationship with their fan base and the media than they've ever had before. Since Vince McMahon is gone, and Vince McMahon is very apprehensive to the media. Paul Levesque is very obviously not
adversarial.
Yeah,
adversarial.
Adversarial. Paul Levesque is obviously not, and he never was. I mean, even during the days of NXT. In different ways, he
tries not to be.
Yeah,
he
tries.
He's not very good at it. He gets gotten to very easily.
Yes, but he tries very hard. Dating back to
tries very hard.
The days of NXT, doing those early conference calls with NXT or whatever. He tries very hard to be it, and obviously Nick Khan knows how to play the game because he's been playing the game as long as the game can be played. So he gets it, and all those dudes get it. So and I know that there were some people, especially in our Discord, that were like, well, again, why would WWE do this? And it's like, they don't. It's kind of just a fucking game for them, man. What the purposes of doing that are numerous. It's you get a number out there that becomes the narrative, whether that number is good or bad or whatever. That's fine. I mean, even if it's because the AEW number is not going to be the eye-popping number that the NBA gets. It's not going to be the eye-popping number that WWE gets. It's not going to be the eye-popping number that maybe even the WNBA gets. And maybe that is seen as, hey, we can, kind of own the story by saying, oh, they're only going to get $80 million a year, whereas $80 million a year is fantastic. And that's perfectly fine if you're AEW or whatever. But to them, it might be, oh, that'll get out that like, oh, wow, that's a pretty low number or whatever. Or my theory is, too, that just in case something does go wrong, they can get out ahead of it and sort of say, oh, look, AEW had a deal and then something happened and they didn't have a deal. Just who knows? Who knows what the games are? But there's fucking games. Trust me, there's games.
If you have to ask yourself why WWE would do this or concern themselves with such seemingly petty matters, always remember that they shut down World of Sport before it had a chance to get going. And that's not a fleck of dirt on the shoulder of AEW and Tony Khan. And they made sure to shut down World of Sport, which was in one country and was essentially an indie that would have had a television contract. They made sure to shut that shit down and put a full course press to end that. So you don't think that they would play these games with the second biggest promotion in the world that operates in their own backyard and just 3 years ago was nipping at their heels in every business metric across the board other than total revenue? Ticket sales in major cities and television ratings and everything else. So they know when AEW is clicking that they're a serious threat for market share. That's why. Why is it so hard to believe? Why is it so hard to believe?
Right. Also, the company that we just talked about
was beating Raw in certain demos.
Yeah.
And beating them in New York and Chicago. That's why. It shouldn't be hard to believe at all. What should be hard to believe is why they would do that to World of Sport. But they did it.
Right. We talked about it.
And they'll do it to anyone.
They might do it to World of Sport again. World of Sport is coming back, and WWE Europe is starting to kind of gain a little bit more steam again. They might do it again to World of Sport. No matter what. They're just not going to let World of Sport happen. But no, to that bigger point, too, this cost them almost nothing. To float out a story of AEW's TV deal being done cost them almost nothing. And it's it's part of the little game. It cost them almost nothing. You know what it cost them a lot less than? It cost them a lot less than paying the thousands upon thousands of dollars they do for Fast Nationals every single week.
Yeah.
To absolutely no end. Quote unquote. Yeah. But the end is controlling the narrative. That's all it is. That's their game. That's what you hire a crack team of PR guys to do, is to do stuff like this. Or else they're sitting around doing nothing. So yeah, of course, why wouldn't they do it? They don't want anybody else in the market share. They don't want anybody else in the market. They don't want any competitors. Their goal is to have what they had from essentially, 2002 until 2018. They want to be the only game in town. That's their goal.
Yeah, of course. So I totally believe it.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
That,
why wouldn't you?
Of course, they're telling the truth. Of course they are. I'm just curious who it might have been, because there's a lot of credible wrestling media reporters, which is how Tony Khan described it, a very credible wrestling media reporter who wouldn't lie, who WWE already knows aren't going to play their games. Okay. So that kind of narrows down the list, so it's interesting to try to figure out who it might have been, who they attempted this with, who immediately ran to Tony and said, hey, look, this is what they're doing. Probably, my guess is that reporter went to Tony and said, hey, I was told the deal's done and it's for $80 million a year or whatever.
Right. Can you confirm this? Is this true?
Right.
Yeah.
And then Tony probably said, no, where the hell did you get that from? And they probably said, well, and then, went from there and they found out it came from the WWE side. It's totally believable. 100% believe it happened.
Of course.
That's what they do. It's the most believable wrestling story that will probably come across our desk. I mean, that's like, in a world of fucking bullshit, which is what this is, that's like incredibly believable.
Yeah, the petty stuff that this company has done over its time. I mean, we could do a 9-hour podcast about it. I mean, just in 1984 alone, the petty stuff they did to every little territory and every little promotion is just, we could do a 9-hour podcast just about 1984. Yeah, it's so very believable. Very believable to me. But there you go. That is the TV rights. Any updates on that? Obviously, we'll update you as they happen over the next couple weeks, because this will be an ongoing story. And the WNBA will keep an eye on that, obviously, or the WBD and NBA thing. We'll obviously keep an eye on that, because that will be huge for when the AEW TV rights eventually do get settled. As far as AEW goes, big weekend of shows for them. They have Rampage, Collision, and Battle of the Belts. Unfortunately, though, we don't have a whole lot of information on Collision or Battle of the Belts. We do have a lot on Rampage, though, because obviously Rampage got taped. I'm not going to do spoilers here, but got taped after Dynamite or before Dynamite. I forget what they're doing for Rampage these days. But Royal Rampage.
Royal Rampage with 2 rings.
Yeah, so they're doing the world title shot at Grand Slam. So the winner of that gets a world title shot at Grand Slam. Chris Statlander versus Layla Gray. Roosh and Kyle Fletcher versus Private Party versus The Righteous versus the Outrunners. And then Lance Archer versus a jobber. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that word anymore, but I'm going to keep using it. Sorry, Dustin. I'm going to use jobber. So
what's that tag match with Private Party and the Outrunners? Say that again.
Roosh and Kyle Fletcher.
Not with the Rich Craich speed talking.
Okay.
Just
Roosh and
slowly
Kyle Fletcher.
Tell me what that match is. Okay, Roosh and Kyle Fletcher.
Yes.
Versus
Private Party.
Versus
The Righteous.
Versus
the Outrunners.
It's a 4-way tag, not an 8-man tag.
4-way tag.
That's a weird ass match.
It's a very weird match. Yeah, the fact that Kyle Fletcher is on that and not on, as far as we know, Death Before Dishonor. I mean, obviously, would you take him off? Did they not have him on Death Before Dishonor because they were going to have him on Rampage and they thought that would be like weird?
Who?
Kyle Fletcher.
I don't know.
Because he's not on ROH.
Yeah. Well, ROH doesn't have the whole card announced yet.
I suppose that's true.
Because Tony, that was another rant he went on the call, because they were asking him, are there going to be more matches? And he said, oh, look, I only have 5 or 6 matches announced, but you guys don't get on anybody else's case for that. And he's right. Because these WWE pay-per-views have fucking 5 matches on. Well, we get on their case.
We do.
Ironically, we're not allowed on the calls, and we're the ones that do get on their case. But he's right. I mean, nobody gets on their ass for that. And then what he followed up with was there'll be more matches announced over the weekend.
Okay.
But when is Death Before
tomorrow? Literally tomorrow. So
how can he announce more matches?
I guess today Ring of Honor is airing. Now it's probably over by now. I've refreshed the page, and I think there is a couple of new matches that did pop up. So we will talk about them when we do our Death Before Dishonor preview. But as far as I could see, Kyle Fletcher's still not announced. But we do have a couple more matches than what is on our run sheet. So they did announce a couple more for this Ring of Honor here. But we'll get to that in a minute. But that's Rampage. Collision. As far as I can tell, we have 0 matches announced. I don't know what's on the show. Buy your tickets now to the Esports Arena in Arlington. I don't know.
And it's almost sold out. They're doing well with that.
They're doing well. I don't know why, because they haven't announced anything, but sure.
Did you watch last week?
I did. I liked it. I like studio wrestling though, but it didn't feel like studio wrestling. No. It was a hot crowd though, so I'm curious if the crowd stays hot. If
I think if the place is full, it will. and I did do a Flagship Plus doing a review of the show and talked about a lot of this already, but I think as long as they have, 800 plus in there, and they're going to have over 1,000 when it's full, I think it'll come across hot. I think where they're going to struggle is maybe at the back end of this thing where they have maybe if there's a show with 500 people there, that might be a problem. Right. But the way they did the lighting, you're not going to be able to tell the difference.
No, it was an abyss. It was a dark, dark abyss.
They did the dark lighting even though people were there. So if they do that dark lighting when no one is there, you're not going to know the difference other than the atmosphere. Unless they choose to juice it, which will be obvious. No, I thought it came across well. It didn't come across low rent. But you're right. It didn't feel like studio wrestling per se. But, it's, I don't think NXT has proved that you can have a show in a small room like that and not come across minor league or turn viewers off. Same for certain eras of Impact / TNA. I thought the original Impact Zone came in the early days, came across fine. There were eras of TNA that looked low rents, because they had different amounts of cash flow at different times in their, in ownership. But yeah, no, I thought it looked fine. But nothing announced for the Collision?
Nothing announced. Yeah, I double checked. Just checked right now. Nothing announced for Collision, which is wild because, like you said, it's bumping up against getting sold out as well. So I would say already this thing has been a tremendous success doing this esports arena. We talked about it when they first announced it, that what they had to do to kind of break even was basically, I think it was 500 fans per show for the amount of shows. I think would somewhere in that average would get them basically to even.
Thurston broke that down, and now what WrestleTix is doing is they're tracking it based on the number that Thurston put out.
Okay.
So I know that WrestleTix today said they don't have their chart up because they were still working on the ROH, but they're going to put the chart back up on the next ROH Death Before Dishonor update. So next week we could probably update people on how they're pacing in terms of making money on the residency to see if it was a win. And then see if, at that point, I guess they'll decide if they can try to do it in different cities.
They absolutely should. I mean, I would definitely try to do that, especially for Collision. I mean, Collision's a tough,
you got to see if it works first.
Yeah.
And then give it a shot in other wrestling friendly cities. But at the same time, you don't want to do it in some of your key cities because you don't want to burn out the city.
Right.
It's a tricky game. It's really tricky. It's a tricky deal. I don't know if I'd want to go to Chicago or Philadelphia where you're those are good wrestling cities. Yeah, but then you burn out Chicago if you give them.
Right, you give 7 shows to Chicago in a month, and that might be the end of it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and then you can't run one of the bigger buildings later for, a pay-per-view because everyone's had their fill, But the bottom line is you got to make stars and get hot, and then none of that matters anymore. And then you're not doing residencies anyway. You're just fucking selling tickets. But this is off to a good start from a ticket selling standpoint. The point is, how many tickets do these same fans want to buy? Right. So you obviously think you'd have diminishing returns the longer it goes. And at that point, what they're probably hoping is that they've hit their mark and the last few shows are just a bonus.
Right.
Free rolls because they've already made their money back. And we really haven't heard anything in terms of them leasing out some of the dates they have to some of their partner companies, which is also something that they absolutely could do if they wanted to. And if their partner promotions wanted to do it, if CMLL wanted to give it a whirl and run Dallas, they could buy one of those dates where AEW is not running and everything's already set up. Everything's there waiting for them, a ring, everything. So, keep an eye on that. So yeah, the pay-per-view Now the pay-per-view is going up against will be over before Rampage. No. Pay-per-view. This happened once before where the pay-per-view. Rampage is probably going to do a shit number.
Absolutely. Because
we'll see.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people, because obviously Death Before Dishonor is going to be a Watch ROH exclusive or Honor Club exclusive, I should say. They're no longer doing the pay-per-views, no longer doing fights, no longer any other ways. There's got to go on to your Honor Club to get Death Before Dishonor. So let's talk about that show because that's coming up Friday. We'll get to Battle of the Belts here very quickly at the end because Battle of the Belts does not have much to discuss, so do not worry.
Is that piggybacking Rampage or Collision?
That will be piggybacking Collision on Saturday.
So it'll be in that building too?
Yes.
Live?
I believe so.
Live or a couple hours delay?
Battle
right?
of Belts. I thought live. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's
why
live.
wouldn't it be live?
Yeah.
What they usually do is
10 Eastern, 9 Central, immediately following Collision. Battle of the Belts, 11.
Yeah, they like run the credits and then they immediately start the night. It's stupid. It's a 3-hour Collision.
But you're getting, Joe, are you ready for this? All right, here's the card.
I'm ready.
AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match. Champion, Timeless Toni Storm versus Taya Valkyrie.
I don't understand this because she has a match at All In against Mariah May. So if in kayfabe, what would happen if Taya Valkyrie beat her? And then she's got to get a title shot at some point.
Yeah.
I think I would have let Toni Storm sit this one out. You have 1,000 belts.
You have 1,000 belts. Many belts. Also on the show, nothing else. That's all we got.
What?
That's it. Battle of the Belts.
Sounds
11.
great. Can't wait.
Can't wait. Cancel your Saturday plans, folks. You got Collision, which has nothing announced, and Battle of the Belts 11, which has Timeless Toni versus Taya Valkyrie. So there you go.
That's a fantastic AEW promotion, as always, with that one.
I'm told they might have another match. People are telling me in the chat room they might have another match. This is great. Find it. Find that other match for me, because trust me, I just looked. I couldn't find another match.
So we're being told that they've once again split the unified trios titles.
No.
And we're bringing back the ROH trios titles.
No. Why? Stop.
Just when we were back to one set of belts.
No. Damn it.
Just when we were back to one set of belts.
Oh, God. Why?
So apparently that...
Why? Who wants this?
So apparently the match last week was... Now we're being told it's false.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on. You know what? Ignore this chat.
Yeah, the chat. You guys are wrong. Okay. Someone's telling me there's another Battle of the Belts match. It's not anywhere. It's not on their website. It's nowhere else. Where's this other match announced?
Now we're just doing fake news because these people in the chat are lunatics.
Well, also, can we just announce stuff? Can we just put it somewhere? Oh, God. All right.
Time to move on. Let's do the Death Before Dishonor, whatever's been officially announced.
Yep. So, okay. Pre-show match, 0 hour. The MXM Collection, Mansoor and Mason Madden versus TBA.
All right.
Get into it.
What do you feel about that one, Rich?
Oh,
no, but
I'd love to give thoughts about Mansoor and Mason Madden versus TBA, but yeah, I mean,
allegedly, these guys were signed specifically to work ROH, and allegedly there's going to be more attention and muscle put behind ROH. Rich, do you buy that?
No. No, I do not.
I don't buy it either.
That's like every time that, it's not a C show, it's an A. They're all A shows, and then that lasts for like a week. Remember, like there was always that. This would happen with Rampage. Like once every 6 months, there'd be like 2 weeks where Mox would be on Rampage, and then this guy would be on Rampage, and be like, yeah, we care about Rampage. And then the week 3, it was back to being nothing, and then it was back to nothing again until 6 months later. Then it was like, no, Rampage is a big deal. We promise. This is the match that's on. So yeah, I'm assuming that that's all just lip service, and Ring of Honor will not be getting special attention anytime soon, but we'll see. Okay, now the main show, all the matches that we have announced. We start out with a survival of the fittest match for the ROH World Television Championship. Atlantis Jr. versus Leo Rush versus Shane Taylor versus Brian Cage versus Lee Johnson versus Johnny TV.
Yeah, survival of the fittest match. I like a lunatic. I shouldn't really do this, but I'm dedicated to the craft. Went back and watched a bunch of recent ROHs. There wasn't a lot of build for a lot of these matches.
There wasn't. Yeah, I also went back and watched the most recent ROH, and I was a bit surprised.
I don't even mean
lack
this
of
one
build.
specifically. I don't even mean this match, I just mean in general. So maybe this week's ROH, which don't they do that on Wednesday nights or something?
Thursday nights. I think they're head to head with us.
Thursday nights is the live, right? I don't know. Maybe they did amazing builds on this week's show. I've for a lot of these matches. But,
remember when we would lose listeners? We would lose listeners.
Yeah, that
ROH was on.
Not anymore.
No, it seems so foreign. Those first couple of weeks, we're like, all right, welcome everybody that just got done watching Ring of Honor. Here we are on the flagship, and our little
people were like,
just
"Can you
up.
start the show later so we can watch Ring of Honor?" No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
but we don't get that. We haven't gotten that request.
Hell no.
In years. How long has that dopey show been on there behind that paywall that I'm still paying for some reason? How long has it been on?
A year or so, I think.
You get the pay-per-views now, and before the pay-per-views, I watch like 3 episodes of the TV to see if it's like Impact for me. I don't watch Impact Wrestling, but I watch it before I watch the pay-per-views. You know, previous 2 weeks or whatever the fuck. Anyway, what else is on this show?
All right, so we have a trios match. The winner will face the Undisputed Kingdom for the vacant ROH World 6.
They are bringing back the ROH World.
Of course they are.
All right, so now, okay, is this real now or is this chat?
This is real. No, this is real. Okay. This is real. So this answers to both of our questions. It answers the question of the ROH World 6-man tag team titles, which are coming back. It also answers our question for one of the other Battle of the Belts matches. So the winner of this match, the winners, I should say, this trio will face the Undisputed Kingdom at Battle of the Belts for the ROH World 6-man tag team championships.
Okay, I got it. So,
got
it. Yeah, I got it.
Dustin...
Why are Undisputed Kingdom, hold on. Why are Undisputed Kingdom just a fiat entry into that title match?
I don't know.
Okay.
Were they the last?
No.
They weren't. Yeah, what? I'm trying to think of.
The fucking Bang Bang Gang.
No. I meant before the Bang Bang Gang won it. No, they weren't even. Yeah, they've never had it. Yeah, I don't think they've ever.
I don't have the lineage.
I don't know.
Titles.
It
was Cage and Khan and those guys.
Yeah,
right?
You're right. Yeah, it was those guys. Yeah, right.
Let's make sure because some nerd in the chat's like, no, it was. Blah, blah. Let's see. Hold on. I love how we treat the
our paying customers.
Right,
loyal paying customers.
Yeah, they beat the Cage of Agony, Bang Bang Gang.
Okay.
And then you got to go all the way back to.
There's the Kingdom. Yes, November 4th, 2018. Matt Taven, TK O'Ryan, and your guy, Vinny Marsalia. You loved little Vin.
That's clearly not why they're in the match on Saturday.
Come on. You sure?
Okay. Under the stewardship of Anthony Khan, it's been. When did he buy this shit? When did he buy this shit?
2022, I think, right?
What was the final what was that final battle that he rebooked? 2021?
Oh, maybe it was 2021, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
it was
they haven't
2021.
held it in
2021, for sure.
All right, so then it would have been Bateman, Dutch, and Vincent, then Dalton Castle and the boys, then the Mogul Embassy, then the Elite, then the Mogul Embassy, and then Bullet Club Gold. So, no, they're not in it for being former.
No.
They're not, because it's not even the same 3 guys.
It's not. Correction, it was 2022, Supercard of Honor 2022. I just double-checked.
All right, so I tossed in an extra team or 2. But the point here is that incarnation of the Kingdom, 2 of those guys aren't even around. One of them is in the fucking Righteous. And the other, TK O'Ryan, just fell off the planet.
He's done, right? I don't think he wrestles. Or does he? I don't know.
He's gone. You know who loved that guy? Tanahashi.
Hiroshi Tanahashi loved TK O'Ryan.
He loved TK O'Ryan. Thought he was going to be a big star. I don't remember what happened to him. But anyway, so, all right. So who's the teams wrestling on? Did you say Rampage or the pay-per-view?
This will be the pay-per-view to go to Battle of the Belts for the ROH World 6-man tag team titles.
Right, which Undisputed Kingdom, for some reason, get a bye
yes.
into the final of this tournament. Okay.
Christopher Daniels did it. I don't know. Just name one of the authority figures, and then you'll go with that way.
Name one of. Just pick one.
Just pick one of them. Yeah.
All right. How about Nick Jackson?
Yeah, sure. Nick Jackson decided that the Undisputed Kingdom deserved it. So
got it.
Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs versus Dark Order of Evil Uno, John Silver, Alex Reynolds.
Yeah, I feel like the Von Erichs, especially since they're doing this deal with Dustin and Lance Archer, who had they did the little backstage gimmick where he was beating everybody up again on Collision last week. since they're local, they should just work the whole residency. You don't have to fly them in. You know what I mean? And you can do a storyline arc with those guys. Do a 6-week story with Lance Archer. Build him for a title match. Have him form a tag team. Put him in a feud. Same thing with the Von Erichs, which they appear to be doing with Dustin. But now it looks like, unfortunately, they're going to be on the ROH side and not the AEW side. I would have had Dustin and the Von Erichs win every week on Collision and to build up for a match against the Patriarchy on TV. Little TV match. Little TV title match. And then do whatever you're going to do to blow it off. And they should do something like that with Lance Archer, since he's local. Give him a 6-week arc. Have someone in there. You have 94 people in that room. Okay? I would say someone come up with a 6-week plan for Lance Archer for this residency. I want a storyline I want to know what you will do with him each week of Collision from now until we're out of there. And everyone submit that to me. You've got 24 hours, and I want ideas from all 94 of you. Okay? That's what I would, but they never seem to do things.
You
like,
too,
you know
Archie.
And no,
RD,
he can keep his.
RD,
I don't want
RD
his.
is looking down, and you too,
No.
Marchie. Don't think you're out of this, Archie.
He can keep his.
Right.
His would be some supernatural shit or something. I'm not interested in his. I'd say mixed martial Archie and RJ City and
The zombie princess? You throwing the zombie
Jimmy
princess
Loves
in there
Lacey.
too? Right. Yeah.
You three can sit this out. We're good. Okay. But the rest of you, I want your homework on my desk, and maybe they did do that. I don't know, but
They didn't.
It just seems convenient to have, anyway, what else is on there?
So I have an update for you. You know how we were trying to figure out the authority figure that could have made the Kingdom match?
Oh, yeah. We now know who it was.
Paul White has been appointed as Ring of Honor's brand new board of director and immediately has made matches for tomorrow's Death Before Dishonor show. So,
well, look, if you're going to pay Paul White 7 figs, if you're going to get something out of him, it's to be the player development director of the Ring of Honor show that nobody watches. That's, what's his title?
Board of director.
Oh, right. Board of director.
And he's an authority figure, so he makes matches now too. So
got it. We needed another one.
Thanks.
I guess Ring of Honor needed one.
Good work, mixed martial Archie. So.
They didn't have one. Are you kidding me? His board of director would have been some space alien or something that wasn't of this planet. They didn't have an authority. Wasn't Stokely Hathaway an authority figure in
briefly,
ROH?
Yeah, briefly he was.
Ago.
Yeah,
but
great.
Right.
Love it. Love it. All right. Wheeler Yuta versus Lee Moriarty. Pure rules match for the ROH Pure Championship. That should be
a little bit of wrestling.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Wrestling. Yeah.
Diamante versus Layla Hirsch in a Texas death match. That doesn't stoke the flames for you. That'll be an interesting one because you do not like either of those women at all. I don't know. I don't know if you have strong Diamante thoughts. You have strong Layla Hirsch thoughts.
No, I think Layla Hirsch stinks, but I have nothing against Diamante. She's fine. She had that feud on AEW Dark against Swole.
Yeah,
remember that one, Rich?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Remember that?
I was loving Dark for a while there. Yeah, Dark was fun.
Yeah. The Brandon Cutler feud with the guy that looks like Pretty Peter Avalon.
Yeah. The librarian, one half of the librarians.
Yeah, he looks like Ruby Riot.
He kind of does.
In the face.
Yeah.
You never saw him. He as a bit, he put on her gear and the makeup.
Oh no, I
like
don't think I saw that.
Yeah, that's out there. You can probably Google that. They look like brother and sister. They really do.
So Diamante, Layla Hirsch. Hopefully they go full on Texas death match. Run the razor. I want Diamante in a white shirt coming out there. You know what I mean? Let's get wild.
Run the razor.
They might.
They might run the razor.
I could see Diamante doing the run the razor. I don't know about Layla Hirsch, but
yeah.
All right. Billy Starks versus Red Velvet for the ROH Women's World Television Championship. It's funny, on your Thursday Dynamite review, you were going over how many women's titles there were in the company, and you named like 5. And I was like, Joe, you're missing the ROH World Women's Television just to add one more, because you were already naming it to a ridiculous degree. You're like, they got this fucking, they got the IWGP one, they got the New Japan Strong one, they got the CMLL one, they got the, and I'm thinking, man, you're doing it to a ridiculous degree, and you could go further. There's one more. Billy Starks, ROH World Women's Television Champion.
Yeah, I hate this. They should have done a tag title. Absolutely. I say it every time. It would have been different than having 2 singles titles like AEW does. Instead, they went with the second singles title because they were too cowardly to just have Billy Starks beat Athena. That was a booking mistake. That was the time to beat Athena with Billy Starks. And then that was the proper story to tell. Instead, she just beat her, and then they shook hands. It was ridiculous. And then she won the TV. They created that TV title for Billy Starks. She should just be the champion.
But there is tension.
And they should have...
There is tension between the two. I don't know if you watched the...
Well, I'm over it. They had a chance to.
They had a chance. They lost it,
like Stark should have beat her at that pay-per-view. Now I don't care. I don't care anymore. And the thing about it is Athena doesn't feel as hot anymore.
No.
I think people were dissatisfied with that conclusion.
That was the moment. That was the time to do it.
Absolutely. The timing was right. Everything was right. The match was good. She should have beat her right then and there. And they should have done tag team titles. And then when my Renegade twins get back together, Rich, they should have been the tag champs. I love those Renegade twins.
You do. But, yeah. So it's going to be Billy Starks defending against Red Velvet.
Remember when Red Velvet saved, I forget who it was, from an attack by Sky Blue on Rampage? And it just went nowhere. I know Sky Blue's hurt now and it doesn't matter. But I feel like it wouldn't have went anywhere anyway. Like, why did they do that?
Yeah, who was that? I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember who.
Sky Blue lost.
Oh, Queen Aminata. Wasn't it Aminata? She saved Aminata.
Yes. And Sky Blue attacked her after the match, and then Red Velvet ran down.
Well, because Red Velvet and Aminata on ROH TV are like buddies or whatever. So that I guess.
Okay, but it still felt like setting up Red Velvet versus Sky Blue.
Do you really want a Red Velvet Sky Blue match, though?
No, I don't. Believe me. Trust me. It's like the last thing I want in this life is a Sky Blue versus Red Velvet match. But my point is, why did they even do that angle if it wasn't? Because I don't think the match isn't happening just because Sky Blue's hurt. They never followed up with it, is what I'm saying.
No.
Isn't that weird?
I think it was more to kind of talk about the relationship between Aminata and Red Velvet more so than it was about the feud between Sky Blue and Red Velvet or whatever.
Right. I get it, but I don't know. Whatever.
Well, either way, Billy Starks is winning this match. I'm convinced of that. And then what I'm not convinced of in the ROH Women's World Championship match, Athena defending against Queen Aminata. I think they're I don't know. Watching the last couple of, I didn't watch this week obviously because it's airing as we're going, so I did not watch this week's. But I think that they're getting the title off of Athena. I feel like they're moving it to Queen Aminata, and I think they're going to try to tell the story because if you watch a little bit of the clips, Billy is starting to kind of become the leader of the minions because Athena's hobbled and she's in her crutches or whatever, and Billy's kind of running the show while Athena's limping around or whatever. So I think the idea is Athena's coming in injured, and she's coming in, feeling like lesser than she used to be, and Billy might send her packing or send, I don't know how they're going to get to it, but I do think it, and it probably might be time. Like you said, Athena's not as high as she used to be. They missed the window there.
Athena's past her peak. She's past her peak.
They missed the window. They blew it. So at this point, moving on to Queen Aminata, I think that's probably the way to go.
And it's not going to make any difference for business at all. So you just do what's better for the story narrative, and I think it's time for something fresh.
One of Paul White's first things as being the member of the board of directors is the Undisputed Kingdom will be defending their ROH World Tag Team titles against the conglomeration of Kyle O'Reilly and Big Tom Ish. I'm into that. That sounds awesome. Paul White's off to a good start as the
what match is this?
Matt Taven and Mike Bennett versus Kyle O'Reilly and Tomohiro Ishii for the ROH World Tag Team titles.
Wait a minute. I thought the Undisputed Kingdom were facing the winner of that 6-man.
They are. They got to do double duty.
Matches on the paper. No, I'm sorry. The 6-man matches. That match is on the pay-per-view, and then they're facing a collision. Right. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. Taven and Bennett versus O'Reilly and Ishii. Okay. Did you notice on when the Collision quarter hours came in that the Ishii Roderick Strong match grew in viewership against the trend line, and the most viewed quarter in both total viewers and demo was the hologram debut, again against the trend line? That's pretty impressive.
It is,
And the thing about Ishii, if you go back and look, not all of his matches, but because he's wrestled a bunch of matches both on this run and other runs, he's moved quarters a little in the past too. Like, all right, I'm not saying he's CM Punk, but those were two very impressive quarter hours on that Collision. And the hologram deal worked. People wanted to see that. That was the most viewed quarter on the entire show. And he couldn't have come across any better. That debut was fucking flawless. He was great. And when they came back from the curtain, I would have shook his hand and said, great job, tremendous debut. And then I would have handed Gringo Loco a contract.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how
you got to
you
get the
sign
base
that
guy.
guy.
You got to get the base guy in there for sure.
How the fuck you don't have that guy? Now, maybe they already have him under contract and just don't use him that much. I don't know. How do you know? I mean, I'm not saying to give him all the credit, but he gets a lot of the credit for that hologram debut because he's worked with Aramis a million fucking times. He knows all of his spots, and he's the best in the world at what he does. So that was deliberate, and it worked, and the guy looked great. And who knows what the follow-up will be. But the point here is you got to sign that guy because you've got so many of these luchadors on your roster. You've got all these CMLL guys that are coming in and out of the company. You've got a bunch of other high flyers who could use that guy as an opponent and learn from him as well on your roster. I'm not even talking to lucha guys, the American high flyers you have up and down the roster. Whether it's Top Flight, Andretti,
Private
Nick
Party.
Wayne. They could all work with that fucking guy. How? I don't know. Like I said, maybe he is signed, but I'd sign that fucking guy, and he don't ever have to win a match. It doesn't even matter. But he needs to be working with all of these guys all of the time. I mean, the work that he did on Saturday with Hologram was just, that's what he always does. That's who he is. That's what he does.
I've seen him live 1,000 times too, and it's every single time it's like fucking perfect. It's just, he knows the perfect role. He is, like you said, you summed it up perfectly. He is the best in wrestling at what he does. There is nobody better at what he does. And if I was AEW, I want the best guy at every, because I have the ability to do that because I'm AEW. I'm signing the best guy at what they do in every possible way. And if I want the best base in wrestling, that's the guy I go to. I say, you know what? I got, like you said, I have all these luchadors, I have all these high flyers. Who's going to make them look like $1 million? And I know that I can put Gringo Loco versus X on whatever show, and I know that there's going to be a certain level of standard that match is going to hit. It's perfect. I mean, why and makes everybody look like $1 million. Yeah, I'm right with you. I'd sign Gringo Loco tomorrow.
You got that Beast Mortos on the roster too, who's but he's a pushable version of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, this Gringo Loco, he's like Psychosis in like 1994. Like he's just, he's incredible.
And like you said, he never has to win. He could lose for 7 straight years, and nobody cares.
I mean, a Collision, he was already in the ring. Like, he didn't even get an entrance.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter, though. It's like, I'd give him a nice fucking salary, the kind he's been working for 20 years, and he'd work with all these guys all the time on Ring of Honor and AEW. He'd be all over my shows, too, working with these guys constantly. And then you reward him down the line, give him a storyline here or there, whatever the fuck. But I that's the kind of guy I'd lock up. You need guys like that.
Hey guys, this is Rich, obviously co-host of the Flagship Podcast here on the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. We'll get right back to the Flagship. Before we do that, though, I do want to let you know that this particular episode of the Flagship Podcast is sponsored by our friends XBet. If you are passionate about sports and looking for a thrill, you need to check out the freshly redesigned XBet. They're calling it the last sportsbook you'll ever join. I've been playing on XBet, and they really do have it all, whether it's odds on basketball, combat sports, or even betting on the next Bitcoin dip. And the best part is, when you win, you get paid quick. But it's not just about placing bets. No. XBet is a whole experience. They support athletes and sports shows like ours, and they give back to the community with tons of free bets and cash prize contests. Did I mention They also have a casino now. Yes, you can spin the slots, play some roulette, or try your luck at the live tables, all from a mobile platform that lets you enjoy the fun on the go. Whether you're super into sports betting or just curious about trying it out, you need a site that makes it fun and easy, and that's why you've got to check out XBet. Sign up today using promo code VOW and get a generous bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Again, that's promo code VOW at XBet. X as in, DMX bet. And use that promo code VOW for a free cash bonus to kickstart your betting journey. There's great UFC cards on the high horizon. Baseball season's in full swing. Football's just about to come. There's never been a better time to play. Again, go to XBet. Use that promo code VOW. Get a generous bonus of up to $1,000 off your first deposit. Promo code VOW. Sign up today at xbet.ag. Make your next bet XBet. And now, back to the flagship. Well, speaking of the Beast Mortos, he is here against Commander. So Commander versus the Beast Mortos. That should be pretty awesome, too, as long as Commander's on his game and not sloppy Commander, which he can do it sometimes. But Mortos is great base, but I hope that Mortos gets that win and they continue kind of building him up and pushing him.
Oh, he'll win. Yeah. They don't push Commander. But Mortos, he's had excellent matches with Castagnoli. He had an excellent match with Darby. I mean, that Darby match was everything you wanted it to be, So, yeah, fuck it. He's got the new name. You don't have to worry about any of his AAA bullshit. Yeah, that's a guy that absolutely should be pushed.
And then finally, the main event for the ROH World title, Mark Briscoe defending the title against Roderick Strong. Should be pretty good, I'm not.
Yeah,
can't say I'm super excited about the build to it or whatever. And again, I haven't seen what they did this week, but it's Briscoe and Roderick Strong, so I think it has a really good chance of being really fucking good. So we'll see.
Well, Mark Briscoe's been doing great work on AEW TV. Obviously, he's gotten over with the promos. I thought he was the best guy in Blood and Guts.
Oh,
most exciting guy for sure.
Unquestionably the best guy in that match.
He's getting over, so there hasn't been a lot of time on AEW TV to really put that match over. Yeah, I really think, Tony Khan at some point got real shook by a lot of people saying that there was too much ROH on AEW TV. And I never joined in on that. I always thought that was bullshit. I always thought it was nonsense. I thought it was coming from a lot of bad faith, but then a lot of good faith people kind of bought into it as well. And now you see
nothing.
With
they don't
NXT,
mention it at all.
Yeah, not at all. Tony totally got away from ROH.
Did they mention that Briscoe was defending the ROH World title on Death Before Dishonor this Friday?
If they did, it was totally in passing.
I don't even remember.
Totally in passing.
I honestly don't remember it once.
I feel like he should build the ROH shows on AEW TV, and I think that all that nonsense about it makes for people not want to watch is bullshit. And you know how I know that? Because on NXT right now, they're bringing in Impact guys, and the same people who were saying that AEW shouldn't ever do ROH on AEW TV are putting over Joe Hendry, and they're putting over Jordan Grace, and they're putting over. It was all bad faith nonsense. It was never rooted in any kind of reality. It was bullshit. It was just total bullshit. Okay, because now a lot of these same people are all about the NXT TNA relationship. And nobody complains. Has anyone complained that Joe Hendry shows up in NXT? No, they all put it over like it's the greatest thing ever. And I think this is one situation where Tony listened too much to the internet. And that ended up getting picked up by people who aren't typically, bad faithers. And it just became a narrative that there was too much ROH. And I never bought it ever. And now they never push any ROH, and ROH feels deader than ever because you never hear about ROH because Tony's afraid to talk about ROH on his TV. It's stupid.
Right. When you have the most viewers possible, which is on a Dynamite, you have no idea that the show's happening on a Friday. And unless you're watching Ring of Honor, you have no idea what's going on in Ring of Honor. But how are you going to get new people to watch Ring of Honor if you
never talk about it?
Nobody knew was going to watch Ring. How would a new person find Ring of Honor? Seriously. Like how if you just started watching wrestling 5, 6, 7 months ago, how the fuck would you know about Ring of Honor?
I'm not saying that you give AEW television real estate to Layla Hirsch and
Diamante. Yeah.
But you absolutely give AEW real estate to Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong.
Those guys are on your TV. Mention the fact that, hey, Mark Briscoe coming to, he'll be defending the ROH world. I mean, you can, while he's in the ring for Dynamite, talk about Death Before Dishonor.
Yes, they should have built that match on AEW TV on the 5 hours of TV they have every week, and they should have been blasting that's the main event of the show, and you could only see it on Honor Club. They don't do any of that because they got shook when people criticized it last time. You got to shut that shit out. You got to shut that shit out. These people don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know shit. These people don't know shit about running a wrestling company. You probably shouldn't be listening to them. Yeah.
You're trying to make money and get people to order Honor Club, and you don't ever tell anybody about it. You don't tell anybody this main event you have with a guy who's gotten over on your TV. The most he does is carry the belt around. They should have done a bunch of angles to build that match on AEW TV. Because like you're saying, you do it on ROH, that's fine. That's the people who like ROH, but that's just, you're preaching to the fucking choir. They've already paid for it. Those people have paid for it already. They're going to watch. You're trying to get new viewers. Who gives a fuck what Raj Giri thinks? You know what I mean? Just fucking build the matches on your TV where there's fucking millions of people watching between live and DVR and everything else, who are all potential subscribers to that service who will watch the pay-per-view. It seems very silly to me, but they totally peeled back on that because everyone whined and cried about there's too much, because people were carrying around ROH belts on AEW TV.
What's going on? My brain. Yeah, it was during the peak. It was during the peak of counting people on the screen, and there's too many people on the screen, and now there's Ring of Honor on the screen. I can't take it. And we listen to those dumbass people.
But now these people are, say his name and he appears. They're posting Joe Hendry gifts on their feeds. Like, these are the people you're listening to.
Yeah.
Why?
Dumb. But anyway, that is Death Before Dishonor this Friday. Interaction Live pending. I'll let you'll know tomorrow at some point if we're doing an Interaction Live for Death Before Dishonor. But there it is. Friday night on Honor Club.
And you know the sick part? TNA is a completely different company than WWE.
Right. You don't own that company. You own Ring of Honor.
Tony Khan owns Ring of Honor. It's the same fucking company.
Yes.
Well, it's two different companies under this. You get the idea. So that's the sick part. There's more justification for having ROH on AEW TV than there is for having. And listen, let me be clear. I have no problem with Impact, with TNA wrestlers on NXT. I have no problem with that. But I'm the one that's being consistent here. See, I have the consistent opinion. I think it's been great for TNA and great for WWE. Now, it's going to bite TNA in the ass eventually.
Of course it will.
But it's been great for now.
In January, when they sign Jordan Grace and never talk about TNA ever again, then then we'll see. But for now, they've had
Joe Hendry when he comes up. Right. And listen, Joe Hendry is built for NXT. That's where that man belongs. That's the perfect place for him. That fan base, he's like made for that fan base.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So good for him if he ends up there and makes some money and becomes a star, right? But don't think that that's not the plan. And look who they send to Impact, the bottom of the roster. The bottom of the roster is who they send back. Okay, so of course it's one-sided, but listen, WWE has the high ground. And we talk about this all the time. Promotional relationships, whoever has the high ground, they have all the say. I mean, you could speak up at the meeting and say, can you please send Trick Williams? But they're going to tell you no. You're going to get the no quarter catch crew or whoever the fuck. You're going to get the ninth string, whatever women's wrestler went over there for that one. And they're going to get Jordan Grace. And they're going to get Joe Hendry because they're interested in Joe Hendry because they obviously know that he works for that audience. Right? So, but TNA sold out in Montreal, and I see people attributing that to the relationship, and maybe that's a little something to do with it. I don't think 4,000 people bought tickets to see Charlie Dempsey, though. I don't think 4,000 people bought tickets to see Wes Lee reform the fucking Rascals, okay? What a lot of people are ignoring, and what I had read something about through PCO and through local, they sold blocks of tickets to local businesses.
Yeah, PCO always I mean, go back and look at the history of WCW, for God's sakes. WCW would run Montreal and put PCO in a big-time spot, and they would sell shit tons of tickets to these shows in Montreal all the time. They are very, very loyal to their own.
So I'm not knocking TNA. You sell 4,000 tickets. I don't care how you do it. That's great for them. Okay. But I don't think the relationship was the reason for that sellout. I think it was, selling those blocks of tickets to the local businesses is what. Now, Jun Akiyama used to do that when he was running All Japan.
Mm-hmm.
When he would run those big shows in Sumo Hall, he'd sell blocks of tickets to businesses, and then they wouldn't always all show up, and it'd be like 2,500 tickets sold, and there'd be like 1,100 people there. But who cares? The money's in the bank. Like, it's not ideal. You'd rather just have people who want to be there buy your tickets, but you do what it takes, right? So people are going to take this as I'm knocking TNA if that in fact was. But what I'm saying is, those people didn't buy tickets to see Charlie Dempsey and Tavion Heights. They didn't. But I think the relationship is working for both sides right now.
Right. Are more people aware of TNA than they were a year ago? Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
People are more.
I mean, and when they were doing business with AEW, they gave them Kenny Omega as their world champion, and they were spiking all of their demos, and they were doing some of the biggest pay-per-view numbers they've ever done. These relationships work for TNA. They do bring awareness to the product. There was a tangible uptick in business when Kenny Omega was the champion that nobody can dispute. But, and there didn't really end up being any major downsides to that one. Tony didn't raid them or anything like that. He's taken a bunch of New Japan wrestlers. He didn't really take a lot of I don't think he took any TNA wrestlers at the end of the day.
I'm trying to think if any. No, I don't.
They just kind of stopped working together, and that was that. Because then he put the title on Christian, and Christian was there for a while. But, you'd have to be a fool to think WWE is not going to take some of these routes. Now, listen, I'm sure TNA is aware of that. I don't think that they're being bamboozled.
No, they're not like happening. Progress or these other companies that were like taken aback by the way that WWE treated them. No. I think they fully know that you guys are going to take Jordan Grace from us if and when that time comes, right. And you're going to take, Joe Hendry if and when that time comes or whatever. Yeah. I don't think
they will graduate. They will move on and up. We will replace them. And we will live with that because you're going to take whoever you want anyway at the end of the day. But even if this makes it an easier pathway, we'll live with that because of this exposure you're giving us and everything else.
Right.
Anyway, that's I don't even know how we got on that. But
did you watch Slammiversary at all?
Slammiversary I'm going to do on a Flagship Plus.
Okay, cool. Good, because I did not see it, and I'm not planning on watching it. So you that's all you, man. You can take Slammiversary.
I will review that sometime this weekend on a Flagship Plus. Probably, I usually do Rampage and Collision on a Plus. Maybe I'll squeeze it all in onto the same Plus. Plus with the Battle of the Belts this weekend too. We'll see. It'll get done at some point. So there will be a Slammiversary review behind the paywall.
All right, let's move on to New Japan Pro Wrestling because obviously the G1 Climax is going on. You are doing daily G1 audio. A lot of people asking last week, are you going to do the G1 audio? Are you going to do the G1 audio? And you came out of nowhere. Didn't say a thing. I didn't even know if you were doing daily. People asked me, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then boom, there it is. Night one, Joe's daily G1 audio. The best daily G1 audio reviews you can get anywhere.
Might be the only G1 audio.
I mean, there's not a whole lot out there anymore. It's certainly not many more out there these days. It's tough.
Some sites that are still on day one. There's other sites that are basically like using their third stringers to do it. I don't know. Here, you get the big guy. And if I don't do one, you're getting the other big guy. We're going to fucking review the shows.
You got it.
We always do.
Yep.
Every fucking day, I'm sure I'll tag out on one or two to the other guy, but I don't know. It's fucking G1. We're going to do it.
That's been great, man. Yeah. FlagshipPatreon.com, by the way, if you want to listen to those on the $5 tier. I've loved this G1 so far. I'm in love with this G1, and
it's been fun.
I've been very down on New Japan for what feels like about 2-3 years at this point, really 4 kind of, if you want to go all the way to the pandemic. But I love this G1. I think the inclusion of some of the younger wrestlers, the way they've included some of the young wrestlers has been great. My president Tanahashi, man, I think he put his money where his fucking mouth is, and there's been a lot less bullshit. The young wrestlers are getting pushes. Everyone's working their asses off. I mean, I adore this G1. I have very, very few bad things to say that are non-Jake Lee related. Jake Lee is a whole different category, which we'll get to in a little bit. But man, when you talk about everybody else, I feel like everyone's bringing their A game. I don't know what it is. I don't know what motivated everybody, but man, it's and we're early. We're early. I'm sure day 11 is going to get boring, and then we're going to get in those dog days, and there's going to be some sucky shows and some sucky matches or whatever. But man, I don't know. I just finished watching day 4 a couple of hours ago, and I love that night. I know you called it a night that had one of the best matches of the entire tournament, which I do agree with, or maybe the match of the tournament so far. But I thought even the work in day 4 was solid as hell. So overall, I love this G1. I think we'll go maybe block by block here or guy by guy, just quickly recap what we've liked of their G1 so far, what we thought of their G1 so far. But no, I think everyone's working their asses off. I love the young guys, and it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. Quick, easy shows to get there too. They're not, they don't feel like slogs. Even on the full block shows, they feel like they're pretty quick and easy to get through. So, yeah, I've really, really enjoyed the G1 this year.
Well, it's not bogged down with a lot of the bad workers because they cut a lot of the fat. So they cut a lot of the gimmick stuff and a lot of the fat, a lot of bad work. You don't have the Tongans in there anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to watch any of those 3 in a G1 anymore. You don't have Chase Owens, the honorary Tongan. You don't have Yano doing his shtick, his tired, boring shtick. You don't have guys like Bad Luck Fale in there. So, they
Yujiro, no fucking Yujiro.
No Yujiro. Right. They cut out those guys all lost in the qualification tournament.
Kenta doing his lowbrow bullshit or his low effort bullshit.
So not only did they cut a lot of the fat, so you don't have these matches with terrible wrestlers. Like every match has at least in every match there's like at least one guy who you're like, all right, I'll watch this guy. You know what I mean? You don't have those matches with just terrible guys in them. And the other thing is the Tanahashi 10-point plan has kind of come to fruition. There has been less interference. It's not totally gone. The House of Torture guys, Narita, that board with the fucking nail in it still comes into play in just about every match. But it's not like where they would do a ref bump and it's just fucking madness for the next 8 minutes. They're not doing that kind of shit anymore. It
comes usually in the last part of the match, and it's only one part of the match. It's not like, because there was a time, I think it was last year's G1 or maybe 2 years ago, where it was just like the bell would ring and like 2 seconds in, the referee's knocked down and we're just doing bullshit already. And it's just like, oh my God.
Or the lights would go out. That one year where they turned the lights out it's just basic heel stuff now, and it's not coming from a million different places either. It's basically Ren Narita's matches. And a little bit of Jake Lee. Now, look, this is a G1 that doesn't have the high ceiling of some of your classic G1s. I would say that. There's a lot of good. There's some very good. But there's been very little, like, excellent. There's been very little notebook filling. There's been nothing in the way of, like, match of the year contenders. You're not going to get that. That's not what this company is anymore. That's not what these G1s are anymore. But I do think the floor is higher. I think the floor is higher and the ceiling is a little lower. And it's an interesting G1 because we're watching elevations happen in real time. And we're watching guys come into their own in real time, which is what you and I talked about in our previews. This was going to be a key G1, but the one we thought it was going to be a couple years ago with the 4 blocks, or whether that was last year, the young guy block with Kiyomiya. Where we thought, but they ultimately didn't do it, and they put Hikuleo through instead. But this year we are seeing guys starting with those qualification tournaments, starting with Callum Newman and Oleg Boltin, who they're probably not going to win another match. They're probably both going to finish with 2 points now, but they both got in. They both won their opening match, and we perceive both of them different now. And Boltin has his gimmick, and he's got his music. And Callum Newman is doing his thing, and eventually he'll break out of the Will Ospreay he'll be his own man eventually. He's only 21. There's no rush for a guy like that. And then you have your guys like, Yuya Uemura starting off 3-0. And I'm not going to go too deep because I know we're going to go through everybody. And then, we see how the other guys, your Shota Minus and your Yota Tsujis and your Gabe Kids, who's making a very good impression on a lot of people right now. All these other young guys, it's progression. And then ultimately, which ones are they going to pull the trigger on? With 3 guys advancing out of each block, there's a lot of ways to play this. You're going to have to get your stars in there. Okay. You're going to have your Naitos and your Zack Sabre Juniors. Everyone understands that. But some of these other spots are going to have to be reserved for some of these guys, whether it's some of the ones I named or whether it's Hanare or whoever the case may be. It's going to be interesting to see who they pick, because by doing the two, by expanding it in such a way where it's not just the two guys who finish first and then you have your G1 final, you really only have that one spotlight match. Now you have 3 more spotlight matches, right? Because you have the two, you have the 3 guys advancing here. So you have extra spotlight matches to put on these guys where, they don't even have to win. Just being in those bigger matches are going to help their progression and help them in the eyes of the fans. So it's a very interesting G1 from that standpoint. Everyone seems to have their working shoes on. And to me, there's really only been one guy in this entire tournament who I think is struggling to get over and find his footing. And we all know that it's Jake Lee.
Right.
So everyone else, I think, I don't have any complaints.
I really don't.
Really.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, one of the guys that I always usually have a complaint about is a David Finlay, but I think he's been really good. And I think there's also
he's working hard.
I think everyone's working hard because I think they're looking around and saying, "Man, my spot. There's a lot of good young guys out here. My spot might be gone." Like, and that's one of the things I had a big complaint I had with the last year's G1 where they did the 4 different blocks and they had all the young guys in one block. And people, argued and said, well, it's good that they have them all in one block because they can tell stories and all that sort of stuff. And I thought that was
didn't.
But they didn't. Yeah, first off, they didn't. But also what I thought they could have done, all they had was Sonata just beat them all, essentially. But what they could have done, I thought, is integrate them with the other blocks and kind of say, hey, this new generation's coming, guys. So you better, and I feel like that's sort of what's happened this year, is that if you're a David Finlay, you realize, man, I got to go out there and work my fucking ass off. Because on this night, on this night 4 is a great example. Him and Hanare went out there and they just beat the hell out of each other. They had a really, really good match because you know what? In a minute, Yuma is going to go out there, and he's going to tear the fucking house down with Konosuke Takeshita. And Oleg Boltin is in our opener. And fuck, that guy's a bull in a china shop. That guy's fucking awesome. Yota Tsuji's there.
Everyone has loved his work.
Oh, he's been great. He's been great. Yota Tsuji's there. Shit. That guy's better than me. That guy's really good. He's got charisma. Look at that smile. So if you're a David Finlay, you probably think, shit, I can't coast on I'll just fuck around and do bullshit the whole time. And I feel like they gave a lot of those guys an out last year by making the block so filled with bullshit and so filled with guys and making that one block of all the young guys and the rest of the blocks be a bunch of the old dudes. And they were able to kind of coast last year. We saw that. They coasted. A lot of guys coasted through the G1 last year. You can't do this year because you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You're going to stick out like a Jake Lee. You're going to stick out like the one guy who's not getting it when you're surrounded by all these good young wrestlers that are all integrated with this company now. Yuma integrated with the company fully. Takeshita feels like, Jesus Christ, don't let this guy go back to AEW. He needs to stay in Japan forever kind of thing. I even think Ren Narita is a guy who you've seen the work step up a little bit. Like, I don't love the shtick all the way, but I think he's tried a lot harder than I thought he was going to try and a lot harder than he did last year too. Oleg Boltin, again, a guy who's super young and now getting that next push. And so it's just, numerous guys, and that's just the B block. You throw in the A block, Umino, who obviously is going to be there, Callum Newman, who they're clearly building up to the next level, and Gabe Kidd, who's really impressed me in this G1. I'm a guy who's always been a little, not down on Gabe Kidd, that's probably not the right term, but I always felt like I like what he's doing, but he's a little too, he's just got to take it down a notch.
He's too over the top.
Too over the top. He doesn't have to tell the wrestler that he's facing, fuck you 17 times in a match. He can do it, once maybe. Because the work, I've never had a problem with the work. I just had a problem with, get over here, you motherfucker. I'll fuck you up, motherfucker. And it's like, all right, I got it. I got it, dude. Calm down a little bit. Chill out. But his work's been great. So it's this is really a G1 that, to me, speaks to everybody on the roster realizing they have to step up because their spot is no longer guaranteed because all these young guys are coming through. And all these young guys are ready to take these spots if and when the time comes.
Yeah.
No one's comfortable, and that's good. And maybe it took President Tanahashi to get out there and say, look, we're going to push these fucking young guys. So if you want to keep your spot and be a main eventer and be in this company, then you got to work your ass off. And I think everyone really has. So let's start with the A block. Again, daily G1 audio over there, $5 tier, flagship.patreon.com if you want to follow along each and every day. Real quickly, I'll just go through all the names. I don't want to make this an excruciating thing. We have a couple other topics to get to. But A block, tied at the top is Zack Sabre Jr. and Evil. Zack Sabre Jr. has 6. Evil has 6 as well. What have you thought of their 2 G1s?
Zack is a lot of people's favorites to win the whole tournament. And I think he has wrestled well. He hasn't been one of my top standouts because it's just business as usual for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it's more exciting to watch the progression of some of these other guys than to watch Zach. And, but yeah, you know, I thought he had a good match with Great-O-Khan that I didn't think was as good as a lot of other people did. The Naito match, we'll talk about Naito in a minute. He's clearly on the back nine. And then, his third match against Callum Newman, I thought was a really good performance from both guys, you know, working each of their individual styles. And as expected, he's 3-0 and right in the mix. Evil's evil. He's probably been one of the least interesting people for me in the tournament.
He's been okay, though. I think he's been okay. That Gabe, I honestly couldn't believe that Gabe Kidd Evil match I enjoyed, and then obviously it eviled at the end, but I thought that was good to a point, and then obviously the Garrote Wire came in, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah.
The Jake Lee match was that's probably a lot of people's worst match of the tournament. I thought it was so bad it ended up going into dumb bad, like dumb
yes,
good.
Yeah, it was. I agree. Because I was like, this fucking sucks, and I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. You know what I mean? Like there was two different ways to say this fucking sucks. Where you're like, oh my god, what are these assholes doing here? And then you're like, oh, what is that? This is okay. All right, these assholes are really fucking this up. Yeah.
When Jake Lee did the Eddie Guerrero spot with the Garrote Wire and tossed it to Evil, and then he took the powder in the eyes like it was a Dragon Gate show for the loss. Like I was like, all right, this match is just so silly that I can't really hate it.
Yeah.
And then Evil and Sonata, I thought was just an average match. So really it's been Jake Lee's been a disaster, and Evil and Ren Narita I haven't really loved. And Tetsuya Naito, I don't think he's been having bad matches, but it's very clear that, you know, he's in the sunset stage here.
Oh
physically.
Yeah, it's the end. It's the end of the match. The problem, he can't do his finisher anymore. So it's like you have the beginnings of like a decent okay match or whatever, but then like it just falls apart in the end because he can't do his finishing move.
You know what he's like? He's like Tanahashi like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where it was very obvious the end was near. But I think Naito probably has some really good matches in him in this tournament when everything lands properly and he's with the right guy. His matches haven't been awful. Like the Zack Sabre Jr. match wasn't like a bad, none of them have really been bad. But this isn't the Tetsuya Naito who was one of the best wrestlers in the world. That guy's gone. Okay. But really outside of those four guys, everyone else has been, you know, pretty impressive on, you know, whatever level. So, anyway, let's keep going through.
Yeah. So, Shingo Takagi at 4 points, Gabe Kidd at 4 points. Shingo just fucking rocks. That guy's just never.
Shingo. Yeah. I mean, Shingo. And,
is he ever going to get bad? Is he ever going to like stop being great?
And that's a perfect example. He had a perfectly fine, a good main event with Naito had a good main event with Shingo on night one. Was it a great match? Was it the match they could have had 4 or 5 years ago? No. But that's what I'm talking about. It's just the ceiling's a little lower this year and the floor is a little higher. And Shingo is just, you know, and the match, I thought the Shingo Great-O-Khan match was so much fun.
Yeah.
You know, they just beat the shit out of each other. So Shingo, and Gabe Kidd we kind of talked about already.
Yeah, I've really liked Gabe Kidd's work this G1. I think he's
been good.
He's been very, very good. And yeah, he's not fully toning down the style, but like he has, and I likened it to, he's got sort of that Briscoe Brothers thing that we talk about with in the peak days of the Briscoe Brothers in Ring of Honor. When they came to the ring, there was just an uneasiness about what you're going to watch. There was just here we go. And like very few people in wrestling have that anymore. I'm sure that existed in wrestling a lot, you know, back in the 80s and the 70s or whatever. I was going to shows then. But in like the 2000s Ring of Honor, you really didn't get that except for when the Briscoes came out and you were just like, oh fuck, man, something's going down here. You know what I mean? These guys are liable to do anything. Who the fuck knows what they're going to do here? They could turn around and punch the guy in the front row. You don't know. And you kind of have that vibe with Gabe Kidd right now. You don't know what the hell he's going to do. And I love that this G1, there was the G1, what was it, a year ago or 2 years ago, where he was just doing the shtick, where he was attacking people at the.
It was awful.
It was every single night, every single time in the G1.
He was one of the worst guys in the tournament.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
On this night, he's just, the bell's ringing, and then he's just beating the fuck out of the guy. And you know what? I like matches, it. Yeah. I like it. I'm an easy guy to please. People think we're not easy to please. No. The bell ringing and Gabe Kidd just stiffing guys for 10 minutes. I like that. I'm not hard to please. That's pretty easy to do. So, the finish of the Okan match where he hit him with that lariat, it was so good. And the bump that Okan took, he's a big guy. That's a tough bump to take for a guy like that. Yeah, him. I think
let's just do him now. For a guy with no points, he's been one of the best guys in the tournament to me. And we both wrote him off when we previewed the G1. He's been so good in all of it. He's the only guy that hasn't won a match, right? He had Evil's best match. No. Was that Evil? No. Great O'Con was Zack Sabre Jr. first night. But he had that great match against Gabe Kidd with the great finish. And then he had the great match with Shingo. Not great match, but you get the idea. He had that awesome fucking slugfest with Shingo on night 3. I mean, O'Con has been one of the better guys in this tournament, despite the fact that he hasn't won a match.
And he might be another guy that I'm talking about where they kind of look at their spot and say, oh, shit, man, if I don't step up here, I can get lapped. I can get passed up by all these new dudes.
We talked about it. We said that he's been surpassed by a bunch of guys already. It's like maybe he sees that. I don't know. I guess I'll take over. All right, so we did Tetsuya Naito. We talked about him plenty. Jake Lee also with 2 points with Sonata and Callum Newman. Look, Jake Lee has just not gotten over at all with the Western audience, at least. I don't know how, that might be any different on the Japanese side of things for people who might be following Japanese social media, but at least in America and in the Western, the English-speaking countries, Jake Lee has been a disaster, particularly with the people who had never seen him before. I think the people who had watched him come through All Japan and Noah knew what we were getting, right? So they're not as shocked.
We tried to warn you. We all tried to warn you what it was going to be like, and I think even our warnings didn't quite match what people, because a lot of comments we've had is like, oh yeah, you guys said he was bad, but man, it's really bad. This guy has nothing. This guy's just got literally nothing. He's a fucking sack of flour. And I think people thought we were maybe being mean about it, or we were being memey, but because like there's groundswell of like there was times where people were like, oh, you guys are just picking on this guy because you think it's fun to, and I'm like, I just think the guy fucking sucks. What do you want me to tell you? You want me to lie to you and tell you I enjoy him?
Hold on a second. We were all about All Japan pushing him for years.
Yes.
And it didn't work. He just didn't. Guy has no charisma, and then he went to Noah and they put the belt on him. No charisma. And it was funny. There was a conversation in our Discord a couple of days ago, and they pulled up all of Jake Lee's matches that are rated 8 or above on Cage Match. And there's 21 total matches in his career rated 8 or above. And
right. And the idea was, well, first off, the idea was this guy can't be that bad. He's got all these good, good matches in All Japan Pro Wrestling. And we were like, well, wait a minute. Wait.
Well, the punchline is like 17 of the 21 had Kento Miyahara on the other side.
Right. Not that hard.
So it's like he never has good matches without Kento Miyahara involved. Quite literally.
But guess who has matches without Jake Lee involved? Kento Miyahara all the time for the last 20 years.
He has great matches with everybody. But the thing about Jake Lee is not only is he a guy who, look, I don't think he's a bad pro wrestler. Okay. I think Jake Lee is a replacement level, bang average pro wrestler. The problem with Jake Lee is he has no charisma and no second gear. That's the problem, and that's always been the problem with Jake Lee. No charisma, no heart, no second gear, no fire, and he's just totally underwhelming all of the time, unless he's in the ring with Kento Miyahara. Which, quite honestly, Rich, you could have a 2 3/4 star.
I'm sure
match
I could.
Kento Miyahara.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and on top of that, part of the problem is he's in the fucking Bullet Club War Dogs, which is another handicap, which I don't know if they did it on purpose because they know he's charisma deprived, and maybe they felt like they had to gimmick him up to give him a little bit of juice. That could be the idea here.
Why are you bringing him into your company then?
I don't know. I mean, they had him basically squash Sonata on night 1, which is a statement win. It's a former world champion, and he beat him with minimal effort. That is them telling us, all right, you need to pay attention to this guy. Then he goes out and has that disaster of a match versus Evil. And then he goes out and has a match with Naito that wasn't any good. Because Jake Lee is, like we talk about, you give Naito the right opponent, he can still perform. Jake Lee is not that right opponent. He's not carrying anyone. He can't do it. So, and he's been thoroughly unimpressive. And look, maybe the Japanese New Japan fans are keenly aware of what they were getting like we were. But I could tell you that the Western fans are like, fuck this guy. Now, you know, you have to be careful because then a narrative gets set and maybe they're being a little hard on him. But Rich, I can't sit here and defend him. I can't find an angle to defend his performances. I can't, because he hasn't been good. And it's all the problems he's always had. No charisma, no second gear. And, you know, when you look at the rest of the block, who's he got left? He's got Zack Sabre Jr., Shingo. I'm looking at possibilities where he could have a breakout match.
Dude, if you have a bad match with Shingo,
then what are we even doing?
Yeah. That's
so, you know, I don't know. So Sonata, he's kind of just the guy on the card now, right?
Yeah.
Callum Newman, any thoughts?
I like his G1. It hasn't been great, but it's been solid, and he's kind of trying to find out what he's going to be. You know, now in the post Ospreay, you know, whatever you know what I mean? Like, he's still trying to figure out. He's no longer the protege. He can't be that anymore. He's got to figure out his new thing and his new footing and his new character and all that sort of stuff.
He will
so
eventually.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're watching him try to figure that out through the G1. So the work isn't all the way there, but he's still stupid young, and he is a guy who, you know, might end up at the end of this tournament never having like a truly really good match. Or like a great match, I should say. But no, I think he's been solid enough, and he'll be a good lost post for the rest of the A block guys. I think he's reliable enough that you know what you're going to get out of him. But yeah, I'm not expecting every time I see a Callum Newman, you know, match that I'm going to see something spectacular or whatever. He's fine. He's been perfect.
Well, the other thing is he's working the openers, and he's only going to get like 8 minutes.
Right. That's what I mean too. Yeah, it's like he's not really in a capacity to have incredible stuff either.
But outside of some shaky moments in the on the opening night against Shota Umino, I think that he's been solid since. I thought the Sonata match was shockingly good because Sonata's typically sloppy, but he wasn't. And I thought they had a good little opener. And again, I enjoyed the Zack Sabre Jr. match and the Clash of Styles. They did that really good spot where Zack did the tornado DDT, but held on to the front face lock and then went for the standing choke. And then Newman then countered that with like a suplex to get out of it, which I thought was a real cool spot. You know, and I think Newman at 21 years old is doing just fine.
Yeah,
and
he's still 21. For God's sakes.
The cosplay Ospreay thing is on purpose. That's the whole idea. Like, he's Ospreay's protege, and that's what he's going to be for a while. He'll be his own thing later. There's no rush. He's 21. Fucking in 10 years, he'll be 31.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, they might not have him. Like, he might be gone by then. But this isn't like an American TV ready wrestler yet. You don't have to worry about that with him yet. Like, I'd be side-eyeing Tony Khan when it comes to like Gabe Kidd. You know what I mean? Or someone like that, but not with Callum Newman yet. I don't think you have anything to worry about. Shota Umino. I don't know. I place him firmly behind Uemura, behind Tsuji, behind Rohei Oiwa, behind Gabe Kidd.
Yeah.
He's fallen down my ladder of the young guys. I just think he doesn't look like a star. I mean, he's got a bad haircut, pudgy body, bad gear.
Not a lot of charisma.
I think the shooter's struggling. I think there were times in his career where he had more charisma than he has now. It's like, I feel like he has no charisma. Gabe Kidd really ate him up in that match. And look, there's the whole thing that they've got going on behind the scenes where, the rumors that Kidd put the boots to him in a fight. And then Kidd cut that promo after the match saying he really went hard. He went harder on him in the promo than he did in the match. The match was professional.
The promo was not that professional.
The promo, he went hard on him where he was like, I'm the bad guy and they're all cheering me. You're never going to be a star. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but you can't even get the fans on your side. You're nothing. You're a piece of shit. All this. It's like, he chose to shoot on him but the promo also fit the character and the story. So he walked that line very nicely. But yeah, I think Shota Umino is really in danger of falling behind a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think this G1 is making it clear that he's not one of those guys. When you're seeing the tournament that Yuma is having, which we'll get to, I guess let's get to him. You talk about the tournament that Yuma is having. We have never stopped being on the Yuma train, and I'm glad we never got off of it. We were there for years.
I believe in him fully. Yeah,
years. I was all on board with him, and there was a lot of people that were like, I don't know. I was like, no. The look is good, the body is good. There's too much there. There's too much there for me.
Yeah, that's a good transition to B Block because he leads it. He's 3-0. And I guess the question for you is what I talked about behind the paywall today. Sometimes Gato will do this, and this is the push, and now he'll lose a lot.
Oh, he's going to lose the rest.
Right?
Yeah, he'll lose, who's he got coming up?
Do you think that's his scenario?
I do. So, yeah, I really do. Yeah, there's no way this guy is ending. I mean, maybe they go crazy. Maybe they put him and really do. But you look at some of the guys he's facing coming up. He's got Jeff Cobb. I think he's going to lose to Jeff Cobb. He's got Hanare. Yeah. That's you could toss that up. Ren Narita. At this point, Narita's had a couple of wins, so it's possible that's kind of a toss-up too. Bolton, I think he'll beat Oleg Bolton. I think he's going to lose to Phantasmo, who I think is going to kind of figure it out. Phantasmo, to me, is going to be the opposite of that, where it's like he was kind of in a lull, but now he's maybe going to get going a little bit. He beat Takeshita, but he's going to lose to Tsuji. And by the end, he's going to be kind of middle of the road, but you'll have that early moment or that early run where you're like, yeah, he beat Finley and Goto and Takeshita and beat Takeshita in a main event. I think that's kind of his cap off. To me, that the cap off of beating Konosuke Takeshita in the main event of night 4 or whatever is going to be kind of his crowning achievement of this G1, and then he's probably just going to kind of fall to the middle of the pack as it goes on. But he's
kind of my read on it where that could be what they do, because he beats Finley night 1 in a very memorable finish. And then he beats Goto to establish, okay, he's slotted ahead of him now.
Right. He's beaten veterans. And he's beaten KG veterans and G1, veterans. He's beaten
a champion and a veteran. Right. And now he wins the main event against Takeshita in what I think is the best match of the tournament so far. And it was a main event. We've seen Gato's style of booking where it's like, all right, this is Gato telling us that he thinks this is a guy, and he doesn't really need to be in the mix at the end now.
No.
I want him to be. But I could see Gato thinking, all right, I gave him his push. Now I could focus on other guys the rest of the tournament because I've established that he can beat a champion and beat Goto and win a main event against Takeshita. And that, what I mean? We've seen that. We've seen him book that way before. So that's my concern. I want him to be in the mix. I think Yuya Uemura is a step behind Yota Tsuji and pretty much above everybody else with the young guys. I think he's developing a crowd connection that a lot of these other guys don't quite have yet. Gabe Kidd has it. Yota Tsuji has it. I don't think Shota Umino has it. I don't think Ren Narita has it. I obviously Callum Newman and Oleg Bolton don't have it yet. But I think Uemura does have it. I am buying all of the stock. All of it. Hanare, Konosuke Takeshita, and Ren Narita have 4. Look, I think Ren Narita, I don't think this is going to be his final form. I don't think, I think eventually he'll have another repackage at some point, and I'm going to just set him aside till then because he's going nowhere with this gimmick. No. His career's going, if he keeps this gimmick, this is where his career will be forever.
Yeah, you don't want this to be your legacy forever. He's 26 years old. You do not want this to be what you are forever. That would be a
House of Torture scummer. He's not going to, it's not. Hanare is doing great work in the tournament. And he's a champion. So to some degree, he's going to be protected through the whole thing. He might lose to set up a challenger towards the end or something. I don't think that his, who was his last loss to? It was on today's show to Finley. See, he lost to a higher ranked champion.
Mm-hmm.
So Hanare's losses, I said this at the beginning. I think he's probably going to win more matches than people think because he holds a title. And who else is there? I mean, they're good. You know what I mean? It's like he's only going to lose to guys where they're going to set up title challengers and things like that. And clearly bigger stars. Like that's who he's going to lose to. But his block isn't loaded with clearly bigger stars.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Right.
He lost to Finley. Who else is he a lock to lose to? No one. He could beat anyone else.
I think Cobb is a toss-up. I would probably say Cobb, but I would probably say Cobb is going to beat him. But that again, you could justify that as a toss-up.
Lock.
Yeah, he could easily beat Goto, easily beat Narita.
Didn't he beat Goto? Or who did he wrestle?
He wrestled Finley and Bolton and Phantasmo.
Oh, right. And Takeshita has been great.
Oh my god.
As we knew that he would be.
Yeah. He's so
There's
good.
really nothing to unpack there. The question is, will they put an AEW/DDT wrestler into an advancement scenario? I mean, I think that they probably will, but I think that's where his road will end. I don't think he's going to a final. Obviously, I don't think he's going to win it. And then everybody else in the block has 2 points. Hiroki Goto is Hiroki Goto. Steady as fuck. You can count on him to go out there.
Still so good.
And have a good match. Yeah. Bolton has impressed everybody. And, I had a feeling that there was something with him, and he's showing it.
You were a little earlier on Bolton than I was. I didn't quite see it, but now the new gear and it's put together, man. His offense is great. He's big. He's big. You know what I mean? Like, and there's something to be said for it's wrestling, man. But sometimes when a big, just burly ass guy gets in there and he's just wide, and there's something about it that just has an aura of like the aura of danger that we're talking about. He looks like an uncontrolled, like he's so strong and can just throw you around any way you want. Like, it has that sort of like that guy looks like he can kick your ass. You know what I mean? Like a classic pro wrestling thing. Like you see that guy and you believe it. You believe that guy can kick anyone's ass. Because why wouldn't you? Look at him. Fucking look at him. He can't kick anyone's ass.
Conversely, the DDT main event, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, and they've already put titles on him. Look, I know it's the 6-man title, but still, they put titles on that guy when he was a young lion. They don't do that, Rich.
Right.
Even if it's a title that no one really, thinks is important, they still don't do that. Cobb is 1 and 2. He's Jeff Cobb. He's gonna beat guys.
Yeah, he's been okay.
I don't think
he's been okay, but not great. I don't think. But it's Jeff Cobb.
It's not the year to push him. But at the same time, I feel like if he was in the top 3, I wouldn't be stunned. Phantasmo's doing I don't have any friends story.
Yeah, he's got one friend.
His only friend is Jado.
Yeah, that's not a great friend. So.
Not a great friend. It's not a great only friend.
What are they talking about? You know what I mean? Like, El Phantasmo's in the back, dejected, head down. What's Jado going to say to him that's going to get him in a good mood? Probably nothing, right?
They don't have a crew no more.
No.
They're on their own. When they team, they still bill them as Gorillas of Destiny. It's pathetic. Yota Tsuji and David Finlay. I mean, they're going to be in the mix at the end.
Oh, absolutely. I think Tsuji
Finlay's going to advance.
Yeah, I think Tsuji could win the whole thing too.
I mean, he could. Yeah, So that's a G1. There's a show tomorrow. No, there's no show tomorrow. There's a show the next day on 27th.
27, yeah.
And there's 3 days in a row, 27, 28, 29. There's no show tomorrow. There's a show after that. And then there's 3 shows in a row. That's one of 2 runs of 3 straight shows. And then like August 6th, 7th, 8th or something, there's 3 shows in a row. Yeah, the 2 Korikens and the Yokohama Budokan is a 3 show run as well. First week of August. So audio every day that there's a show, and we track the attendance and review every match, rate every match, keep you up to date on standings, who's eliminated, who's advancing. There's not going to be eliminations till the very, very end with.
Oh, no. We're going to be down to like the final day. Yeah. It's like, the idea of like sometimes by, week day 11, day 12, you're like, oh, yeah, this guy's pretty much done. He's over. No, everyone's in the mix probably until the very end.
Mathematical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you only got to finish 3rd. So that's different and unique, and have to look at it from that standpoint. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the top 10 matches. I just, because outside of Uemura Takeshita, there's like a blob of like very good matches.
Yeah. There's like that match I think is probably to
me, that was the best match.
Yeah. That's probably it. And then otherwise there's like 14 matches that I think are really good as well. But like,
they're all about the same.
I can't differentiate between one or the other. I'm like, just watch them all. They're all really good. But yeah, it's going to be tough to do a top 10 the way it was some other years where you watch and you're like, yeah, dude, that right there is one of the best matches you're ever going to see. We haven't had any of those. Instead, we've just had really, really solid, which is made for really fun shows and made for really quick shows, because you turn on a night and you're basically just treated to 5 or 6, in the single block nights, 5 or 6 good matches. And then on those solo block nights, it was just like 10 matches that were all pretty damn good. Nothing that really stunk the joint up except when Jake Lee's in the ring. And then and the end of Tetsuya Naito match. But other than that, all right. So that is New Japan Pro Wrestling Daily G1 Audio, as you said, over there at flagship.patreon.com. All right. Let's get into DDT. Yes, we're talking DDT Wrestle Peter Pan. They put 4,131 in Sumo Hall. We only watched what do we want to call this? The business end of the card, the non-DDT part of the card. I don't know how to call this, but
I watched the top four.
That's all I watched too. No time for Dino and Takagi. No time for.
And I know people all love that because didn't Kota Ibushi come out?
Yeah,
some kind of emotional deal. I don't care.
Yeah, it's not my DDT vibe. If that's your DDT vibe, good for you. Not my DDT vibe. I don't really.
Yeah, I'm sure it was wonderful. The dopey 4-way for the 6-man. I can't watch anything with that mad Paulie. I just can't do it.
Paulie. Yeah, was the panda? Was the panda on this show? I don't watch the panda ever. Yeah,
who knows? But I can't. Any match that has that mad Paulie, it just makes me sick to my stomach. And I can't. Antonio Honda. I mean, that's one of my least favorite wrestlers.
I couldn't tie me to a chair to watch.
History of the business.
So bad.
In the history of the business, that's one of my least favorite wrestlers. So you couldn't pay me to watch that. Quite literally, because I didn't, and people are paying me. And but yeah, I watched the last 4.
Same.
Look. Before we even get into this, full disclosure, I don't watch DDT. I don't follow DDT. I haven't followed DDT closely in probably 7-8 years. We used to follow DDT pretty closely and review every big show, and we'll do Peter Pan every year. And now we're down to just doing a couple matches off of Peter Pan every year. But yeah, so when I talk about these matches, I know nothing of the stories leading into them. There's probably some stuff that went over my head from a narrative perspective. So I'm really just looking at the work. So that's what people need to know right off the top. DDT is decidedly not my vibe. As Rich just said, I would never watch this promotion day in and day out. It's as most people could probably ascertain, it is definitely not a promotion for me. It's way too silly. Way too much of that really inside Japanese style humor that I don't get and don't like. But I'll talk about these top 4 because, I could talk about them from a wrestling point of view.
Yeah, and so we started out with Takeshita again. Konosuke Takeshita taking a break from the G1 to come to DDT to wrestle in this Peter Pan show against Masato Tanaka. Yes, that Masato Tanaka is still going. And Joe, this match fucking rocked, man. I don't know what you thought of this match. I absolutely loved it. For 15 minutes, they just chopped the fuck out of each other, threw each other on their necks, dropped each other on their necks. Eventually, Takeshita won. Masato Tanaka bowed. It was just classic Masato Tanaka, Konosuke Takeshita. This would have fit in a Big Japan show. This would have fit in on a 0-1 show. This would have fit on any of those kind of classic, like, mid-2010s wrestling shows, like just Masato Tanaka going out there and having a Masato Tanaka style match. And Konosuke Takeshita, who does not need to work his ass off, absolutely does not need to work his ass off, doing a blue thunder bomb through a table to the outside with Masato Tanaka. And it's like, man, like neither of these guys had to put as much effort as they put in this match. And I loved it, man. I just thought they beat the living shit out of each other. And it's just wild to see Masato Tanaka still kicking it and Konosuke Takeshita in the midst of doing a G1, bopping on over here and having one of my favorite match of the 4 that we're going to talk about here.
That was the spot of the show, at least what I saw. That table spot was incredible. To me, this was the best match of the 4 matches I watched. And I thought it was a legitimately great match. So Masato Tanaka is ageless.
How old is my man these days? Let's see. 51.
Got it.
51.
And working just as hard as he ever did.
Still so good.
He's just really great. And, Takeshita, he took the night off. That was night 2 at a G1 in Osaka, which that did 25-45 in Osaka. This show did 41-31 allegedly in Sumo Hall. Wasn't this the same night as Kobe Worlds for Dragon Gate?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, they claimed 4,700, but there's no way there was 4,700 people in that building. I'd put it somewhere maybe 3,500, 3,700, because the far ends of the bowl were just dark and completely, just not even sold. I don't even think they attempted to sell them. And then there were other empties on top. And I know we're not talking about that show, but no doubt light up to 4,700. So that's and I don't know how far Kobe is from some of these other places, but that's 3 shows same night. But yeah, I thought it was the best match. I'm gonna bury some of this other stuff. I'm just letting people know now. I mean, I thought the tag match was an okay match. Burning versus Old Burning, I guess. No, I thought that was okay. That was fine. And I thought the top 2 matches were utter shit. I thought they were.
I hated them too. Yeah,
bad matches, just terrible matches. I thought that Despy versus Chris Brooks. I didn't even finish it. I was like, I can't watch. This is garbage. I can't watch it. It's junk.
I can't. The 2 guys smiling at each other and stapling each other.
Yeah, it's just garbage.
Okay.
And then Chris Brooks' buddies all come in, and then there's some bald guy cutting a promo. I can't watch it. It's junk.
I think it was Antonio Honda that was cutting the promo, right?
It was Honda.
Yeah.
It's just garbage. It's just not. It's now if you're into the promotion, but I thought it was just they bled all over the place. I thought it was just garbage.
Hitting each other with Legos and boxes and stuff. It was very much a DDT match, but DDT is very much not my promotion. So it's like, I didn't.
DDT plunder match. It was a DDT style death match, which means, and everything in this promotion is like tongue in cheek in some way. And that's not how death matches can. It just sucked. It was just not my vibe. I hated it. And in fact, I hated it so much that I don't even know who won the match. I was like, I got
Despy eventually won. Despy eventually won the match.
His mask was off. And the thing with Chris Brooks is I loved everything he did when he was in the title mix last year. I watched all of those matches and reviewed a lot of them. And I thought Chris Brooks had a really great 2023. I'm not typically a Chris Brooks fan. I thought the stuff he did in the dentist office with Emi Sakura was some of the worst pro wrestling I've seen in my life.
Choco Pro,
Choco Pro stuff is just awful. It's just the dirt fucking worst. And I think this is just as bad, just in a different way. This was so bad that I couldn't even bring myself to finish.
There's like 5 to 10 solid minutes where both guys are just standing in the ring and like, exchanging staples and like they're just smiling and laughing at each other while they're doing it. And I'm like, not my thing.
It's terrible pro wrestling. Just not good at all. And the main event, I mean, look, I think both of these guys are good wrestlers. Yuki Ueno and Mao.
Yeah, I like them both as well. I really like Mao. I think Mao's fantastic.
And since everyone's
certain cases.
And since everyone's gonna hate this review anyway, I may as well just dive in head first. I think they'd be nice little juniors in a real company. I think that Yuki Ueno and Mao would make nice little juniors like in a bigger company. They're not top stars. They just aren't. And this match showed it. I mean, I think especially Mao. I think Ueno, okay, I think he's a little better than Mao, and I think he has more star power and charisma than Mao. And I guess they work for this company specifically. Okay, I should note that. But look, this was not Dr. Death Steve Williams versus Toshiaki Kawada. Let's be honest. Okay, these are not what I want to see at the top of a card. But again, this promotion's not for me. For this promotion and this fan base, these 2 guys can get by as main eventers. And it's not like this was ever a promotion for big, ugly pro wrestlers. I mean, this is the promotion that spawned Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega. But those guys are great generational talents, and these guys are not. They just aren't. And this match was endless.
Well, and they're still trying to have those kind of matches. They're trying to have Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega matches. Capable. And they're not. They because what this match was for 28 minutes, we just did move. And then I did a move, and then you do a move, and I do a move, and then you do a move, and then I do a move, and then you do a move, and then I do a move, and then you do a move, and then I do a Canadian Destroyer, and then you do a Canadian Destroyer, and then I do some flippy do thing, and then you do some flippy do thing, and then I do a flippy do thing, and I'm like, oh my God, I got it. Let's go. I do a drop kick, you do a drop kick. And it was like, we're trying to do these 2 friends that are on equal footing, but my God, can we do something other than moves?
There's no story here. They just were doing shit. They were just taking turns doing shit, like in the worst way possible, to the point where they did this cutesy little thing towards the end of the match, where instead of doing a chop battle, they did a drop kick battle.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck right off. This is just
by
so
the
not
way,
for me.
Yeah, it was agonizing. It was pretty long. I just want Buzz Sawyer. Where's Buzz Sawyer, man? You know what I mean?
Where's Buzz Sawyer? I would love Buzz Sawyer to run in and just kill both of these twinks right there in the center of the ring. You know, it's like they're doing a standing drop kick battle. What am I watching? Why am I watching? I almost hand wave this because I'm like, this stinks. This is terrible. Now listen, some of the things they were doing were very impressive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There's a good match in this match. Like, you just need guys that know how to
structure.
Yes, you need a structure to it.
You need structure. You need a plan. You need a fucking story. You need something.
This is a highlight video. This is a highlight video, a 30-minute highlight video.
And let me tell you, not all of it was smooth either. Okay? Some of it is very impressive, and they both do things that like no one else can do, especially Ueno. Ueno in particular, he does some things, and you're like, holy shit, that's like really creative, and no one else does that. And I'm not sure anyone else can do that. But a lot of this was a little sloppy too. And then once they just started doing a standing dropkick exchange, I'm out. I can't. It was just, I almost didn't finish this match either, but I'm like, I've been watching it for fucking 6 hours. I may as well go to
right. What's another 10 minutes?
Couple minutes till they get to this, this fucking finish. I thought I was really going to like the match because I like both guys well enough.
And I heard rave reviews about it, too. I heard people saying, oh, my God. And I was like, all right, cool. I like Mao a lot. I like Ueno as well. I like Mao a little bit more than I like Ueno. So I was like, oh, man, all right. And people are saying, oh, this is one of the great matches I've seen all year, and this is incredible, and all that sort of stuff. So I sat down thinking I'm going to enjoy this. And I kind of did for like 15 minutes. And then the last 15 minutes, I was like, all right, you guys are doing a highlight reel.
You're in my fucking brain.
Right.
You're in my brain. It's like the first half of the match. I'm like, okay, second half is going to kick some. And then it's just jump.
Move. And
maybe because I don't watch the promotion. Okay, I don't know. Benefit of the doubt. But, like Despy and Chris Brooks to me was a dud. It was really just some of the worst pro wrestling I've ever seen. This match, I wouldn't go that far, but I didn't enjoy it. It's like a 2-star match. At best. I mean, it's just two guys who, at this point in their careers, should be able to have a better match than this. And it just, they did some stuff. I don't know.
They cosplayed a main event, is what they did. They cosplayed a Japanese wrestling main event. Let's go out there.
This was like, I mean, this was better workers doing Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what it was. It was better workers doing that. And it worked for that audience. I think the crowd was into it. Clearly, I think it has done well on Cage Match, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it's doing great there, yeah.
But and this is why, again, this promotion is just not for me. And I realize, and I've known that for years now. Like, this promotion just lost me. Like, it used to be I would skip the comedy half of the cards and then the back half I enjoyed, and then the promotion just totally lost its grip on me. And I was like, you know what? It's just not for me anymore. And I don't feel any connection to this kind of pro wrestler. I think they'd make excellent juniors somewhere. I just can't take these guys seriously as top guys. I can't. I don't know if that's my taste changing or they're just not.
Yeah, I just don't. They're not as good as Hiroshima was. They're not as good as Takeshita was.
Oh my God, no. Hiroshima smokes these guys. Peak Hiroshima. And forget like Ibushi and Omega. Like, we're not even in the
that's
same
different
universe.
stratosphere. Yeah.
I mean, those are all time.
But see, Takeshita had this same problem for a while too. I don't know if you remember. We used to watch a lot of DDT shows, and we would have that same thought. Takeshita would go out there and just do, like, for 15, 20 minutes, just do a bunch of things and do a bunch of moves because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, but he was 20.
Yeah, exactly. And we were like, well, he's learning and he's trying, and little by little now he's fully formed now he's 25, 26 or whatever he is now.
I would say right now, I was never turned off by a Takeshita or Endo match the way I was turned off by this match.
Right.
Takeshita and Endo are better than these guys too.
Oh yeah.
And I know Endo's doing the tag thing right now. And that match was okay. We kind of blew through that match. That was
I was going to kind of say I want to talk about that match a little bit because they chopped the fuck out of each other for hours.
I mean, that was a good match. I enjoyed that match.
Yeah, Yuki.
Now we all knew Katoge was going to eat the fall. We knew that.
Oh God, yes, yeah, God, it's
so he got his headbutt in. He got the headbutt in first.
He did,
and he bled all over the place.
But yeah, this was Yuki Ino and Go Shiozaki essentially chopping each other for like 10 straight minutes. And there was a fun little spot too, because everything in DDT has a little bit of and I don't hate every little kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge DDT thing or whatever, but Endo got hit and was selling on the outside. And Ino was stuck in the ring, and Go Shiozaki was chopping him and chopping him and chopping him and chopping him. And Ino's chest is just bright red, just bleeding. And he's just screaming, Endo! And he's looking at it and saying, come on, get on I got to tag you out, man. Get on this fucking apron so I can get out of this ring because this guy's killing me. And he just kept turning to the corner and being like, fuck, where are you, man? Get over there. I got to tag you. And finally did it. And yeah, but I mean, he gave some back to Shiozaki too. But yeah, this was, I like that tag match a lot. Not as much as I like Takeshita and Masato Tanaka. I thought that match just fucking rocked in all the ways, but I did like that tag match because it was just classic. That's another match that you could have plopped on any any mid 2010s Japanese wrestling show and it'd be perfectly fine. Endo is really good too, and I've always liked Yuki Ino too, and Go Shiozaki speaks for himself. So no, that match was pretty solid. But yeah, obviously you knew the Burning Team was going to win, and you knew that Katoge was going to get the loss, so that maybe hurt it a little bit from that standpoint. But I thought they still went out there and worked pretty hard.
Burning versus old Burning.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I have to do it because I do it every year. Peter Pan is the dumbest name for a pro wrestling show. First of all, it's the worst fucking Disney character. Peter Pan stinks.
Peter Pan does stink. The peanut butter stinks. The peanut butter stinks. The movie stinks.
It's a mid-level peanut butter. It's the worst Disney character. It's a stupid Peter Pan, that dumb Tinkerbell. The whole thing is dumb. I root for Captain Hook to just like behead both of them every time I fucking watch that shit. But it's a terrible name for a wrestling show. I say it every year. What a stupid name. Wrestle Peter Pan? The fuck does that even mean?
Not our promotion.
What does that even mean?
Oh God, that's
dumb.
People wanted us to cover DDT. Well, there, you happy now? Listen, you happy that we just buried all your
Captain
faves?
Hook. Now wrestle Captain Hook.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Got some juice to it.
Yeah.
Now you're cooking with gas. Give me a little wrestle Captain Hook. I don't wrestle Peter Pan. Terrible name for wrestling. Terrible character too. Stupid, dumb green suit flying around with that dopey fairy.
I hated Peter Pan as a kid too, man. I watched that movie. I was like, this movie sucks.
Oh, it's the shit.
Can I watch Terminator again? And then we watched Terminator.
The drizzling
again.
shit. It's the dirt worst Disney. Peter Pan. Anyway.
Shit peanut butter too. Or you called it mid tier. I don't think it's mid. I think it's shit.
It's
so.
mid tier, right? Like a store.
You get the store, but just get the store brand. If you're succumbing to, it's just fine. I think store brand peanut butter is just as good as your Jif and your Peter Pan.
Okay, so you think generic peanut butter? You may as well just spend $1 on the generic than spending $2.99 on Peter Pan.
Exactly, unless you want to get crazy, because there are crazy peanut butters out there. If you want to get crazy on peanut butter and spend $8, you can, and I do very often. But if you're gonna just get middling peanut butter, you're gonna get Peter Pan. Just buy the store brand, buy the Kroger brand creamy peanut butter. If you're gonna succumb to Peter Pan,
the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Jif and all those others.
Yeah, I don't think Jif's that good either.
Is it Jiffy or is it Jif? That's
just
one
Jif,
of those.
Jif. Jiffy is the cake mix or whatever, the pancake mix.
Oh yeah, it also used to be Jiffy Pop, the popcorn.
Oh, I think that's still.
You might be.
Yeah, Jiffy Pop's still.
You might be too young for this, where they sell it in the disposable pan.
No, that's still around because my wife brought it to camp. We went to camping and the nurse brought it, and I was like, I don't want to make this shit, and it was a disaster, and it stunk, and it got on fire and stuff.
Work?
No, it didn't work at all.
Because it's like the disposable pan. You put it over the stove or open flame, and it pops the hot popcorn. Yeah. You touch it, and it's like lava. Like you touch it, you get a third-degree burn.
Right, my hands. I'm still recovering. I'm still growing my skin back from the time we did it. So
yeah, because you think the foil when you open it, but it's fucking hot, and then the steam comes out. It's pretty dangerous
and not that good, and not worth it. Yeah.
But it's one of those Mandela effect things where the peanut butter, a lot of people think it's Jiffy, but it's Jif, or is it the other way around?
No, Jif is the peanut butter. Jif is the peanut butter.
But people think it's Jiffy?
Yeah. And then there's Jiffy cake mix or whatever, the baking mix in the white box with the blue top or whatever.
Yeah, like the cornbread or whatever.
Yeah, right,
Jiffy. Right. Yeah, Jif peanut butter.
It's fine.
Same thing, right? Like, no one could tell the difference between Jif and Peter Pan, right?
No. I'm positive I could put those.
They'd be impossible, like a taste test. Like, stick it on a fucking
No, there's no way you wouldn't be able to tell. If I gave you a generic Kroger brand Jif and Peter Pan and flip the spoons around, there's no way you'd know the difference.
You one of these guys that buys natural peanut butter with the oil and you got to mix it?
No. Okay, so no, I have standards. I won't go that far. It can't have it. I want the fancy peanut butter with the fancy flavors, but they have ones that don't have the oil. It's like because they know how annoying the oil is to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And me, mostly me. So they have like fancy ones that don't have that. Because once I got that, I used to get those, and I was like, "This is I have no time in my life to be,
mixing."
And it's hard. It's hard to mix that peanut butter, man. It's the morning. Yeah. I'm trying to make a fucking sandwich to shove down my throat to go to work or whatever. At my lunch hour or whatever. Right. I don't want to sit here with a goddamn. I'm bending a spoon trying to stir this shit for 10 minutes before I slap it on a piece of bread. What am I doing here? Come on, no.
Yeah, fuck that.
My time's too valuable for that. So.
Yeah.
But I do get like the fancy. There's Peanut Butter and Co. is the one that I like to get. They have fancy full flavors. They have like a cinnamon flavor, extra crunchy. Like
$7.99,
somewhere around there. Yeah, about $8.99, $7.99
on your $8 Dave's bread.
Right? I love the Dave's bread. Yeah, you got me. You nailed it.
You guys are. Yeah, I know what's going on over there. Chapo Trap House. Yeah, Chapo Trap House, but yet you're buying $8 bread and $7.99.
Hey, look, I every time the nurse listens to Chapo Trap House, I say, those guys are millionaires, right? And then I leave the room, and then she gets mad. So
right.
I said, one of those guys owns a mansion in Los Angeles. You know that, right? And then I'd leave the house.
and then you both hop in your late model German vehicles and head to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where my wife gets free lunch bought for her by giant pharmaceutical companies. So,
yeah, before setting off on another one of your international journeys. We all know what's going on.
You got it. Yeah, it's not hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is Wrestle Peter Pan. DDT fans, I hope you were glad you bullied us to review your show, and we did. So there you go.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't do it on purpose. What do you want from me?
Oh, yeah, I know. It's just we get those people that are always
like... 2 matches. I like the other 2 matches.
Yeah. And I'm never in a million years watching Dino versus Sanshiro Takagi. No,
I can't
fucking 20 minutes and 45 seconds. Don't care.
I don't give a shit how emotional you tell me it is. I can't do it.
I don't like emotion. The only emotion I want is pain and anger. That's,
tired of it. I've been crying for weeks. My fucking dog died. You think I need more emotion?
Right.
No thanks. I want emotion. I watch Rudy. I cry at the end of Rudy every time. That's emotional to me.
Yeah, man,
when that fucking janitor claps and does
the weirdest claps ever. The most out of rhythm Joe Hendry style out of rhythm claps by that janitor. What is that clapping that he does?
By Charles S. Dutton. Come on.
He does it's like a weird, like, I don't understand the rhythm of it. It's not the way anybody's ever clapped before or since.
Yeah,
but it is inspirational. Yeah.
It is.
Until you learn the real story, and then everybody fucking hated Rudy. So
it's a movie. Don't ruin it.
Right.
Don't ruin it.
Little prick.
Close enough.
Notre Dame stinks, and Rudy's a prick. So, all right. Let's move on to All Japan Pro Wrestling. How about that? Cork and Hall.
Right.
Summer Action Series 2024, Night 3. 1,341 in attendance for this show. What do you think of that?
What, the All Japan show?
Yeah, the attendance for that. That's not bad, right?
No, it's really good. Anzai's drawing.
He really
about
is.
That.
Yeah. I think
it's working.
That conversation needs to start turning that way a little bit. Is that this guy is a consistent? Is he a mega draw? Are they able to run Budokan anytime soon? No, but like they're putting good numbers in Cork and Hall. They definitely are. And this guy is very clearly the top guy in the company now. So much to the point that we're going to have a conversation about this in a little bit. But he's clearly the guy. So these numbers, you got to start attributing a lot of them to him now.
Well, he's got to either lose soon or they have to start beating guys twice because he's burning through everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll get Yuma Aoyagi next. Well, I guess we'll start with the Honda match, which I thought it was a better match than the Suwama match, but the Suwama match was very good. And these guys obviously were stable mates, and these guys wrestled like their hair was on fire. The one thing I questioned about Anzai.
One of his hair was on fire with Ryuki Honda with the red.
I guess so, yeah.
What is he doing
but,
here? He's channeling Manabu Soya here with the red hair. And
yeah.
By the way, have you seen what that man looks like now?
Oh, I know. Manabu Soya,
oh,
I know.
God, you know me.
What the fuck?
I was smitten when I saw that body, that very natural body of Manabu Soya. He is shredded at 39 years old. You gotta love it.
Very natural body. This is his, you know what this is? This is his Don the Rock Morocco era.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm here for it, man. I am here for it. 39 years old, looking like a brick shithouse out there. Oh my God.
Like a fucking bodybuilder.
He's got muscles where you didn't even know muscles existed, man. Yeah, it's
like prime Zeus.
He's exactly like Don Morocco because he took all that beef and just all that beef turned into pure lean muscle overnight, which how
guys showed up and it's a lot of hard work in the gym. It's he's clanging and banging.
He's clanging and banging, a little creatine in the morning, maybe,
That's it. A little bit, just upping the protein a bit.
Yeah.
He's eating a lot of beef jerky, is what I heard. So, he's just he's putting in the work, Rich. He's putting in the work.
But the best part about it is, I don't know if you saw it, but if you go to like his Twitter account, they had to update his picture on like the Noah match graphics. Go there right now. Let me see if I can. Do you know how to get to Manabu Soya's Twitter account? I'm assuming you have it on.
Do I? Yes, I do. Let me see what you're talking about here.
So twitter.com or x.com/BUN. It's Bun AMAYAS. Did you find it?
Buna Mayaso.
Yeah, Buna Mayaso.
Believe me, I'm very familiar with the handle. So he's got the new profile pic there. Yeah.
So as you scroll, very proud of his body. So you'll see the first match graphic is for like the 8-4 show.
Yeah.
It's Kano versus Manabu Soya, 8-4. And it's the old Manabu Soya, kind of chubby, big, in shape dude. Then you scroll down, him versus Titus Alexander. This is all during the N1, by the way. So this is 8-10.
Some traps.
Yeah, some nice traps or whatever. Then you scroll a little bit further, and then there's the 8-12 against Yoshiki Inamura,
Yeah.
And then 8-17, they're like, holy fuck, we gotta update his picture. It's so good. And now he's new. And now he's new and improved Manabu Soya. He looks 10 years younger.
He's got the same human.
What the fuck?
It's crazy.
So halfway through their N1 graphics, they're like, fuck, we got to change Soya's graphics.
We got to change this shit.
This man doesn't look the same anymore.
No. Yeah, it's an incredible transformation. I'm here for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guy wants a push.
I'm giving it to him, man. How do you not give that man a push? Look at him.
Looking around that locker room, he's like, this roster fucking stinks.
Right,
I can get a push here,
guys. Yeah, you know what? I got it. There's a spot for me here. Back to
the All Japan.
Yeah, back to Honda and Anzai.
Yeah, I thought the one thing with Anzai is sometimes he doesn't wrestle with enough fire. Okay, I thought he wrestled with fire here. And he hit him with that finish he does, that weird ass finish where he's got the guy up like it looks like a high angle fucking choke slam, but he's not choke slamming him. He's just up on his fucking shoulder. He's like got him in the chicken fight position, but only halfway on the. It's just a weird finish.
Drops him. Yeah, he just drops him to the side.
He just says, "I'm gonna fucking drop you, like a fucking sack of flour. I'm just gonna drop you, like I'm baling hay." And I thought they both wrestled really hard, and they're stable mates. They probably wanted to make sure they went out there and had a great match. Ryuki Honda's a guy who he keeps finding new charisma, and this is, he keeps changing his look. I think he's finally found something he could settle on. And, he might be another guy moving forward that they've got that they can rely on at the top. He's only 24 years old. So, no, it feels like he's been around forever. He's younger than Anzai. You know that?
Yeah, I did not. I realized that today. And if you had told me last week, who was the younger of the two, and I would definitely say Anzai. Definitely. And it feels like Honda's been around for like 7 years or so. You know what I mean? Like he feels like he's been around forever, but I could not believe
he's been around
it.
forever. I mean, it feels like he's just, been there for a fucking decade, but he's still a kid. he's still young, because he was one of those Wrestle One guys.
He was a Wrestle One guy. It
feels like he's been around for ages, but, so, man, he must have started real young. Let me pull up his fucking page.
Yeah, I looked. He debuted in September of 2018. So he has
about 17, 18.
Yeah.
17,
so it has
18.
been quite a while.
Yeah, so it'll be Yuma Aoyagi next. He beats Renayabe. The thing about Renayabe, and we have to be fair here because we always talk him up. He's got the size and all of that. He is not the smoothest worker yet, and he has to start showing better athleticism. And I think that he has that thing where
basketball players,
for whatever reason, they don't translate well to pro wrestling. They never do. And I don't know why. Basketball players are great athletes, but it's just, maybe it's different muscle memory. I don't know what the fuck it is, but basketball players traditionally struggle. They often look awkward in the ring, and that's his biggest problem right now. Because he looks a little awkward, and because he's so tall and gangly, it also, nothing he does looks particularly smooth. So, while I think he's certainly a quality prospect with that kind of height, if he could add to the frame, if he could get his footwork down a little better and work a little smoother, they've got something because he's 6'7". He's got to be better than he was in a match like this, which was a big singles match. He's not hiding in a tag. I did like the finish where Aoyagi put him in the choke. And Ayabe, they didn't do pro wrestling style. They did MMA style. He was trying to use the rabbit punches to the back to escape, but he was trapped. And then the punches got progressively slower, and then he was just out. And, they lift the arm once, and he was out, and they rang the bell. So the finish was good. Yuma Aoyagi, though, worked circles around him in this match. I mean, it was like watching a well-seasoned, quality, top 25 in the world, top 50 in the world pro wrestler carry someone who was super green to the best match possible that they can get out of them. It was almost like watching... Renayabe is very much like a lot of the NXT wrestlers, where the flaws in the game are obvious, and it's a question of whether he will be able to get to the point where he could smooth that out. Because if he doesn't get any better than this, he can't be a guy. He can't be a guy if he isn't any better than he was here, and as he often is. But it was more pronounced when he's in a big singles match like this with a guy that's so good on top of it. So not writing him off. Can't write him off with that size. He's with that height and size. He's always going to get opportunities. But man, you're just getting shades of like fucking Giant Baba or Akira Taue with some of the awkward movements that this guy has.
He's like that guy that, and I mean, obviously he's older enough to where I know this isn't the case, but there's kids that I play basketball with all the time that are 16, 17, sometimes we get 15 or 14-year-olds or whatever, and you could tell sometimes they just got tall. And these kids walk into the building, you're like, oh God, that guy's huge or whatever. He's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", or whatever.
Yeah.
But then they have no idea what to do. Their limbs all go in different directions. And you're like, oh yeah, he just got tall. He has no idea how to use that yet. And there was one kid that I remember when he was 14, he showed up to the gym one time and after a summer he had grown, 5 inches or whatever. We're like, holy shit. And he was horrible. He had no idea what to do. And then the next year he came back and he was fine. He had figured it out. He had understood how to use his body, but he just woke up one day and he was 6'4" and didn't know how to use it. I get a little bit of that with Renayabe, and it doesn't always switch off. Sometimes people are just awkward. You know what I mean? Sometimes people just never quite figure out their size. And you're right. I do hope and pray that we don't get that.
He can get away with that if he starts putting some more oomph in his work.
Right. He's got to either decide I'm going to either be a smooth worker at my height, I'm going to be a Konosuke Takeshita, I'm going to be an Okada, I'm going to be that kind of guy, or I can be Akira Taue and Giant Baba and just start laying him in a little bit and doing other, these are...
Taue got over because he was a mean fucker.
Right.
And it didn't matter that his nickname was 2 Left Feet Taue inside the business, because he was a mean fucker and that's how he got over. The Saetos are not nimble on their feet, but they're getting over because they gained a bunch of weight and they're just mean fuckers, right? And they still have their matches where they look like shit. Baba was more like towards the end. I was comparing him more towards like old Baba, the comedy match Baba.
Yeah.
But like he either has to put on some weight and become, and I don't know if he has it in him to be a mean fucker. He's like comes across like a nice guy. But
right.
I don't think he'll ever be like, he's never going to be.
Nah,
like,
he's kind of smiley.
The kind of athletic worker that Okada is. He's not going to be that. So I don't know. He's got to adjust and do something. He either has to get better or has to figure out, like the Saito's did, a way to get, because he can't, his work is too soft. His work is too soft to make up for his awkwardness. And it just does not work. So he's definitely someone I would invest in and put some effort into, but he is far from a sure thing.
He needs specific training. He's got to get in a dojo with a certain guy, and the idea is learn how to lay it in, man. Learn how to be a little stronger. Learn how to be a little tougher. Because everything he does still feels very paper thin and very, even his suplexes and stuff are very like methodical and okay, I'm dropping you now to your back. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to just picking up a guy and just dropping a guy. I think he's still probably afraid to do that. And he's afraid to kind of show his size and show his strength or whatever. And that you should be able to get rid of that, but sometimes it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? If it was that easy, that everybody would do it, but it's not that easy.
So Anzai has Aoyagi. He's got one of the Saitos coming up too. This is rapid fire title matches. He's already had Miyahara, Hideki Suzuki, Suwama, Ryuki Honda, Aoyagi, and one of the Saitos. That leaves one of the other Saitos. And really, who the fuck else? Unless it's an outsider or something. He's going to have to start repeating guys. This is what we're talking about. And he only just won the title in March. So only about 4 or 5 months. But they're just burning through. And maybe they feel like they need Triple Crown matches to draw. Totally understandable. Right? Because you got to fucking draw and you got to bring money in. So, maybe Shotaro Ashino is a guy. Maybe they could build him up for one. He has another title shot yet. That's really about it, and so he's either got to lose or start beating guys for a second time. Kento Miyahara beat Rising Hayato in a match against the Junior. He gave him a ton. Not only that, he didn't beat him with the straitjacket. He got his knees up on a springboard moonsault and then like cradled him up and then did the thing. Cause Kento worked this like Tanahashi used to do, where when he knew the crowd, especially a Korakuen crowd, is going to be behind the other guy, he works like subtle heel.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like what this was. So he cradles him up and then he does the thing where he gets that asshole look on his face and he's pointing to his temple like, ha, I fooled you. I outsmarted you, Rising Hayato, and he's being an asshole. Then he gets up on the turnbuckle and does that flex, like the double bicep flex, to fucking ham it up. And the fans are like playfully rooting for the other guy. They still like Kento. It's like that Tanahashi used to do that all the time.
Yeah. The fans would be like, it'd be kind of fun if we cheered for the other guy and not Tanahashi on this night. And then he would kind of play it up and be like, all right, motherfuckers. Okay.
That was kind of the energy because they wanted to see the upset of Hayato here. But, so he beats him. And that was a lot of fun. And then, the first half of the show is just, there's no point even talking about any of that. It was all like, I obviously skipped the dopey fucking women's match. And then, from that fucking promotion, I wouldn't watch if you stapled me to the chair, that Actress Girls or whatever the fuck.
Girls. Yeah.
Oh my God, please.
I like somebody explaining in the Discord and they were just explaining, but they're like, oh yeah, most of the women that wrestle for there are like actually actors that in their free time do. And you're like, oh, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. It's like, if I ever watch that, it might be the worst promotion in the world. They all come out in their dresses and they're singing and dancing. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this? This is all Japan. God, it's infuriating. The All Asia match did have some good energy, though, with the new champs, Yoshioka and Musashi over Naruki Doi, who's the junior champ, and Mazada. That had good energy. And then there was stuff going on in the post-match, which had the crowd all fired up, but I didn't understand what the fuck they were talking about because I don't know Japanese. I don't know if they were setting up the next challengers or whatever, but then the next two matches were just like a lot of silliness and comedy. The Saitos teamed with Masafuchi, and he's like 1 billion years old, and it was just, but they pinned I think I think Dan Tamura might have taken the fall on that one. I can't remember. But yeah, the top 3 is really all you need to concern yourself with on the show. And yeah, just, more solid stuff from All Japan. This is way more my fucking speed than DDT. And we see if Anzai can get through these next 2 challengers with Saito and I think it's Rai Saito.
It's right. It's right. Yeah.
Okay. And then Yuma Aoyagi. And then from there, see what the fuck they're going to do. If he gets through those 2.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to lose.
It's interesting. I know that Emerald Flow Show here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcast Network, they had a discussion about that a couple weeks ago as well. Is that Anzai's getting to this point now where you either have to make him like the best guy ever and he just beats everybody forever, you're in this weird position, or like you said, he's got to start double dipping on guys, but then that's going to start, or he has to lose his title and then sort of work on the chase or whatever. I don't know what to do, really. If I was in their position, you got this guy and there's nobody really bumping up a guy. There's not like that guy that's on the undercard that you're like, oh yeah, that's the dude that should probably take it from him. So I guess at this point, just start doubling up. And like you said, maybe there's other guys you can do. There's, you can go back to a Shitaro Shino. There's other dudes on the roster you can do.
I mean, Aoyagi could win. I mean,
yeah.
Anzai, it's not going to hurt him to lose the title after beating all these guys.
Oh, no. Not at this point.
First run. It's his first run. He's had a nice run. He continues to have a nice run. So, I mean, I don't think he'll lose to the Saito, but he can lose to Yuma Aoyagi. But if he beats him, it's time to maybe start doubling up because there's not many guys left unless you start bringing in outsiders to lose to him. That's always a little tricky, especially with someone who a lot of people are going to see as a rookie. But, I mean, they got Hideki Suzuki to lose to him.
Yeah, that's a miracle.
So
anything is possible in that sense. Anything is possible. So, all right. I think that's it. We get all the topics here. Let me make sure.
That's
G1, All Japan. Now we did it nice and tidy. 3 hours here. So now plenty of time to. You're an Olympics guy, right? You're like me. You love the Olympics. If I'm
I mean, they've been having events before the opening ceremonies, which has annoyed me because I like the rugby.
But
it's almost over.
Yeah,
the rugby's almost over, and the Olympics didn't start. I hate that.
They're in the quarterfinals. Yeah, I think they're going to be.
Because I haven't had time. I've been so busy with the wrestling. I haven't had any time. So yeah, tomorrow I'm not doing shit because we're kind of all caught. Unless we do Death Before Dishonor, Instant Reaction Live. I'm in if you're in, but outside of that, I'm not doing shit. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch some fucking. See what's going on with these Olympics, because I guess technically they're going to start in a couple hours with the opening ceremony.
Yeah, the opening ceremonies will be in the afternoon for us if you want to watch it live on like the Peacock or whatever.
Catch the end of the rugby tournament at least, and then I'm not going to be watching any breakdancing. I can promise you that.
I watch handball. I watch handball earlier. That's a pretty fun looking game.
Handball's fun. But
rugby is absolutely fucking insane. Like I always forget, and then I watch rugby, and I'm like, who the fuck would ever do this sport? Why are you doing this? Every play,
and this is the rugby sevens. It's like the mini rugby, and it's faster.
Yeah, so, every play is like, I'm like, that dude's knee has to be just, and everybody gets up and they're limping and they're holding a body part. And then they just get up and next play, let's go. All right, here we go.
I was so into it the last Olympics, but I wish the games were longer. They're really short. I would always think to myself, I wish they were longer, but
spoiler alert,
we're in a new era. Like
America wishes this game against Australia was even shorter because it's not going well for them. So.
Yeah, tournament's almost over, and the fucking opening ceremony.
That always happens with the Olympics. It's kind of funny because I always remember watching like day 2 of the Olympics or whatever, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna do the medal count here," and I look and like Hungary has like 15 medals already. I'm like, "What the fuck? How did Hungary already get so many medals?" And it's like, I'm like, "Man, Hungary's like the best nation in the world right now." I didn't know. And then it's like, "Oh, but they just won like medals in all these bullshit sports that nobody cares about." And then by the time the actual sports, come through, then it's like, "Oh, okay, now like."
Well, I think they start a lot of these team sports early because they have to. It takes like soccer. You can't play every day, so you need to start it early to get through the block and then do the knockout round. You know what I mean? Like when baseball's in the Olympics, it's not this year. They usually start it a day or two early too because it's longer to get through all the games.
Do these rugby guys got to go home now? If like do they just go home or do they hang around Paris for? Because why do all these other people get to go fuck everybody in Paris for? 3 weeks, and these guys gotta go home. Like they're just like, all right. Thanks.
A lot of these guys are going to march tomorrow after already being eliminated.
Right.
It's like WCW 90s booking. in the Olympics. These guys are out already, but they're going to be marching in the fucking opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
Basketball starts this weekend.
Hell yeah. Sunday. I'm ready.
The U.S. team's great because it's great if they win and kick everyone's ass, but it's so much fun when they lose.
Oh my God. That South Sudan game, like,
loses.
it's great too because Americans also root against them. Because I think we all want them to lose a couple times just to kind of give them a kick in the ass, just to make them feel like, all right, guys, come on, we can't keep losing this thing. But the drama of like South Sudan, like I admit, I kind of was hoping LeBron missed that shot and they lost to South Sudan.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. It's so fun when they lose for like Schadenfreude.
Well, because then it's just a fucking breakdown. Like everybody in America is just like, this, we have to make sure what is happening here. This can't happen again. Like, and we've done that a lot over the last couple of years because we haven't quite figured out that like the rest of the world got a lot better at basketball in the last 20 years. Yeah. So still every game is like a referendum on like U.S. basketball and the AAU system and everything. And I love it. It's so good because people get so mad about it and it's so great. So
can 12 primary scorers, is that really the way to go? I don't know.
It's not.
Maybe it's time to build a team.
It would be. Yeah,
right?
It's not a bad idea. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a rebounder, a true point guard, and
some
maybe
defenders.
2 scorers to go to at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Some 3-and-D guys, right? Like build a team, maybe. But I don't know if 12 guys who are used to having the ball at the end of the game, I don't know if that works. And not just because I think they're selfish, just they're not used to the roles that they're put in.
Right. And there's also no unity of like Team USA basketball. Like if you don't play a certain way, you don't do a certain thing. It's just, whereas in Spain, it's like from age 8, you play Spanish style, like Team Spain style. Like they have sets and plays and stuff that everybody knows. And you know what I mean? Like they know. Whereas America, it's just like, all right, everybody get together. We'll do some scrimmages and we'll be fine.
Figure it out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when everyone else is caught up, you can't get away with that anymore.
No. It's great.
The South Sudan team, they had some ringers though. They had a couple fringe NBA guys that aren't from South Sudan. They like have South Sudan heritage.
Oh, Wenyan Gabriel is. Are you telling me Wenyan Gabriel is not from South Sudan? Yeah, no. They had a couple.
Thor, right? First round draft pick. Guys like that. They had a couple because they had a couple guys I recognized
as their coach. Royal Ivy as their coach. I love it.
Yeah, they had some guys that played, high-level Division I basketball who didn't get to the NBA, whose names I recognized from years ago.
Carlick Jones. Yeah, Carlack. It's Carlick.
Yeah, you look them up, and they're from, like, Maryland.
He's from Ohio. Yeah, he's from Cincinnati.
Like, You've never been closer to South Sudan than I have, But
I apologize to Wenyan Gabriel. He is actually from Sudan, so I apologize to Wenyan Gabriel.
A couple of them are.
Carlick Jones is from Cincinnati, so he does not.
Cincinnati.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't quite.
I don't know nothing about South Sudan, but here's the thing: you should still beat these fucking teams.
Yeah,
no excuses. It's still these are still fringe NBA players versus Hall of Famers. So
team basketball's great though. I love it.
Part of me hopes they lose. I think it's more fun when they lose.
Absolutely, it's so much better when they lose. So
it's the close games that they win stink. They either need to blow everybody out by 40 or lose. That's where the fun is at, to me. I don't want to watch them win by 6. That I'm not interested in. Either lose the close games or do like the Dream Team and beat everybody by fucking 60 points and be throwing alley-oops off the fucking backboard and shit.
Yeah, like against Angola, like the Dream Team against Angola, where like halfway through the game, the Angola team's stopping to get autographs because they're just getting beaten so badly. They're just like, you know what? We don't really want to play you guys anymore. Can I get a picture with you, Mr. Jordan, while the game's going on? Type of thing.
Which really happened, by the way.
Yes.
That's a true story. That's a shoot. That's a shoot.
We're being told that the Olympic ceremony, they're not marching, they're floating down the river. I don't like that.
All right, great. I don't watch that shit anyway. I watch the games.
I like the opening ceremexactly. It's pretty good because you find out about countries. You got to do that because you find out about countries that you're like, I didn't know that country was a thing. So,
yeah, like South Sudan.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know there was a North and South Sudan. Well, that's got to be a new thing.
13 years ago, I believe that's Sudan became.
That's new
South
in the history of the world.
Yeah,
that qualifies as
exactly.
New. I don't know anything about African geopolitics, so that's new to me.
No. So that's what you learn with the Olympic opening ceremony, where they're like, yeah, this is this country, and this is this, and you're like,
they probably had some violent civil war that killed tens of thousands of people, but I didn't know about it.
Right. And now you kind of do, sort of, not really.
Now I kind of sort of do.
So that's the Olympics. It's so much better with the cock too, man. The cock makes it so much easier.
Hey, they're cut every event, every second of every event you can watch if you want to.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like back in the day, you had to just rely on like Bob Costas with his pink eye. Remember when he had pink eye that one Olympics? I forget what Olympics that was.
Yeah, from 8 to 11, and that was it.
Right, and it would be like Bob Cosby, like, all right, we're gonna
whatever they choose to show you.
Yeah, and it was not always that good stuff. And then like at one point they had that one. Oh, go ahead.
Gymnastics and track every night. That's it.
Right. Yeah, and you're like, yeah, come on. And then there was the
maybe
one
a little swimming.
Yeah, you get a little swimming sometimes. And then at one point they like did like on multiple channels. For a while, it was like MSNBC had stuff, but it was always like, it was always track or swimming. But now with the cock, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll watch Norway, Sweden women's handball. Why not? I got nothing going on.
Absolutely. You love the cock. You love stroking the cock.
Love sifting through the cock. I don't know if okay. Anyway, that's it for us here. This has been the Flagship Podcast. A ton of audio available to you guys at flagshippatreon.com. Like we mentioned, just an ungodly amount this week. Multiple Flagship Pluses, a new episode of Brett versus Owen, the Thursday Dynamite review, just a ton of stuff. Match of the week, G1 Climax review audio. It is all up there. Flagshippatreon.com. 3 price tiers for every budget. We have a $1 tier, a $5 tier, and a $10 tier. The $10 tier obviously unlocks everything. The $5 tier gets you all of your bonus audio, and the $1 tier occasionally some of our trial content. We also have a free tier. If you want to just sign up and see what we're going to do in a given week or what we've done in a given week, I can sign up to that free tier over there at flagshippatreon.com, and you will get informed about what we're going to have coming up in a given week, what's been posted, and we do these weekly recaps too, where we go back and say, hey, here's what we posted over the last week. That's available to you as well on the free tiers. So there we go. That is it. Voice Wrestling Podcast Network. Make sure you subscribe, and we're on YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. YouTube.com/Voices of Wrestling. All right, that is it for us. That is Joe. I'm Rich. We'll talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey now, it's Mike Gilbert, host of the Mike and JD Show, right here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Join JD by God Oliva and myself every Thursday night live on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube channel at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we stay up all night discussing all the hottest stories in professional wrestling. You can also check us out right here on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting feed, or you can subscribe to the Mike and JD Show feed. Now, enjoy the show.